Oh, Chris Lallum, he does make that pass.
Kyle Valero doing his best on the outside, gets sideways, and no, the teammates crash. We had the number 11 going right there. 3 wide out there in the middle of the field, through the mountain straight now, going 3 wide.
Oh my word, that is probably one of the best shows of the entire season.
Towards the Mickey Lauda curve, bumping and banging and into the wall. That is a horrible crash.
2 wide now, door to door. Max Verstappen to Valtteri Bottas. Max Verstappen able to safely rejoin. Slots it right in front of another car.
Carousel immediately, he gets punted off. That was Saavedra. Aguilar, he's gone off, he's been tapped, and he's into the barriers. Oh, the rejoin, oh no!
Dean, oh Pedro, Dean.
Oh, Chris Lallum does have the inside track for the Swiss left. If he's able to make that pass happen, he might be able to cut away Victorino. He does make that pass, and he makes it clean as they come into the right hand. And this is it. Chris Lallum seizes the opportunity and makes it. And just as the end, the rain comes to put a pin onto the end of the race, and Chris Lallum takes it.
Miranda Pedro Zuba into the wall.
It's actually Valero. Valero's actually gone up into the barriers, coming up to the cutting.
David Todd making his way back up, has already climbed 7 positions.
Oh, I spoke too soon there. Sandy goes up.
So right now, this is going to be where it's going to get shaken up. David Todd passes them while they are in the pit through the mountain straight now, going 3 wide.
Oh my word, that is probably one of the best shows of the entire season.
So we have 3-way battle going to the most dangerous turn of the mountain. Up the mountain, we have contact right there. These guys going absolutely crazy. It's going to come down to the final corner, Murray's corner. Who is going to have to lead? We may have a drag race to the finish line on our hands, folks. You see David Todd right now going into the pit lane.
Suzuka Racing for heat number 1 here in Austria. Over AMX 20 in towards the Niki Lauda curve, bumping and banging and into the wall. That is a horrible crash. That's a huge lunge from Gaston Calabi, and he's made contact with, I believe, oh wow, it's a chaotic moment here. No slipstream in front of the Evo car, and you can just see Peter Silva pushing Florian Lamigra right over.
Here we go then, Valeri, he looks left, he looks right, he's going to choose the right hand side, which is the inside going into turn 3.
Here it is. This is the crucial moment in this race. It's looking like it's only going one way. David Dott is going to take the race lead. Heading into the second half of the season, the Hungarian of David Dott has driven a masterclass here with the early pit stop. Not the ideal strategy, but an ideal race winner and an excellent performance.
To save our home, we must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
This season is finally culminating to today's grand finale. That's right, folks. AMX 15 out at Suzuka in the GT3s. It all comes down to this one. A tight three-way battle for our lead, a back and forth all season long. But today, we will be crowning us our final champion of Season 6. Of course, everybody, welcome back to the grand finale, Season 6 of the AMX Sim Racing World Championship, where, like I mentioned, we are out at Suzuka in the GT3s. For AMX, I am Kevin. Alongside in the booth today with me is Julian. Julian, we got to see a great finale yesterday. Both AMX 0, AMX 5 wrapping it up, and a preview of what we are to see today. For those folks that weren't here, why don't you tell them what they can expect to see out on track today?
Chaos, netcode, and controversial crashes. I think that's what we had yesterday. It sums it up pretty nicely. And between the championship contenders as well, I'm very excited for AMX 15. First time for me commentating AMX 15, and first time also commentating a race that's longer than 50 minutes or so. So very excited, and what a race it is to be commentating here for the first time.
Absolutely. For everyone out there watching on Twitch or YouTube, make sure to follow all of our social medias, especially to see what we have coming for our future season. Season 7 brewing up in the background. Make sure to stay tuned for what's going on there, as well as other projects that we're going to be working on. But before we go into today's races, as of course we always have, what's been going on this season? We've been out here. It is finally 10 weeks. The grand finale is here. We've been out since September 7th And today is the last day, November 17th, the grand finale, with this season's prize pool of over $11,000 plus next level racing gear. The race format goes as following for AMX 15. We got that 20-minute qualifier going into a top 15 reverse grid with that heat 1 of 90 minutes, followed by that second top 15 reverse grid into that second heat of 30 minutes. So we got first a bit of an endurance race followed by a sprint race. Out there, we love to see everyone's beautiful faces out on track. Driver cams are required. You can get the link via our AMX Discord or on our website. Balances are paid out in $100 increments, paid out every single month. So once you hit that $100 threshold in your account, expect that money headed your way. And like I mentioned, we've been here every single Saturday and Sunday this season. To sign up, make sure to head over to amxrace.com as well as to see what we have going on for future seasons. Schedule goes as follows. We have our AMX 0 on Saturdays, followed by AMX 5 right after, kicking off 5:50 p.m. GMT with that second race of the day at 7:10 p.m. On Sundays, we had switching it up this season. Every other week, we had our AMX 10 TCR World Tour, a doubleheader on Sundays at 5:50 p.m. with that second race of the day at 7:20 p.m. And on days like today, we have our AMX 15 mini endurance races at 5:50 p.m. So it's been all season long, non-stop action, jam-packed. The prize goes as following out here. We have, again, AMX 15, a lot more on the line. First place, second, third goes $30, $20, $18 for qualifying, as well as heat number 2. Once we kick it into heat number 1, like I mentioned, that's our endurance race going on. Triple the length, triple the points out there. $90 to first, $60 to second, $54 to third, all the way down. Points awarded into 15th place, with the fastest lap being set in heat 1, getting an extra $15. And the fastest lap in heat number 2, getting an extra 5, with a total prize pool per race of $750. And for all of our drivers out there today, there is a minimum of 4,000 iRating to be out on track with us today. But the one thing everyone's been looking forward to, what's in the front of everyone's mind, is where are our drivers? Starting it down in 10th place, our top 10, Ralph Benitez. Up to 9th, Gerard Sardeni-Size. 8th place, Fabrizio Belziti. 7th, Jackson Asenge. 6th place, Bruno De Carmo. In 5th place, Pedro Dean. 4th place, Peter Zuba. And the close race in your top 3. 3rd place, Toby Soriano with 317 points. 2nd place, Gael Valero, 341. And our current points leader, Juan Blanat, with 352 points. So it's still anyone's game all the way down into 4th place right now, but it's looking really tied up for those top 3. But Julian couldn't have asked for a better place to host a grand finale of a championship out here at Suzuka, one of the most famous Japanese tracks that there is.
Absolutely, and what a track it is. So many finales have come down at this very venue then, with a length of 5.8 kilometers or 3.609 miles and 18 turns, 9 to the right and 9 to the left. It is an icon in motorsport, even with its unorthodox figure of 8 layout demanding a test of skill and many famous corners. Think the S-curves, Degna 1 and 2 and 130 are where legendary overtakes have been. Think Alonso on Schumacher all those years ago. And now to the cars, the GT3s then. Featuring between 506 horsepower and top speeds of around 280 to 310 kilometers. These beasts race around competitions like the GT World Challenge, IMSA, and more, with a weight of between 1,200 and 1,300 kilograms. This is a statement in our hobby.
So I think, it's time that we check in on our drivers. Of course, Julian, Definitely GT3s at Suzuka, one of the best combinations, one of the best tracks with, of course, iRacing's bread and butter. GT3s, I mean, these guys, we got to see them yesterday out at Interlagos in the GTEs, so a little bit different than what we're seeing out here today in the GT3s, but like I said, GT3s replaced those GTE cars out there in the iRacing service, as well as WEC, now GT3s, of course, in IMSA as the GTDs, but enough GT acronyms out here. I mean, definitely getting kicked off out here in the race. It's going to be a lot. We have a lot on the line for these drivers. Like I mentioned, the top three drivers, Juan Blenat, Gael Valero, and Toby Soriano. Gael Valero only 11 points off of the lead. Toby Soriano only 35 points off of the lead right now. So definitely it will be a tight race between all three of those drivers.
Absolutely, and I can confirm I've in fact got pen and paper next to me so I can keep track of the standings as qualifying ends and the big main event, the Heat 1, the 90-minute race. And just looking out on what cars these guys are running, it's mostly Lamborghinis and then an Audi here or there and then two other Porsches. So very surprising that I'm seeing this many Lamborghinis, but right now you can see the top 8 are all Lambos in fact, so it seems to be working for them right now.
Yeah, definitely seems like that is the car out here today for that. So again, all of these top 3 drivers, top 4 drivers even, I mean, I'm not going to completely count out Peter Zuba as he is 116 points down. So he is still in the fight for this one, but the stars are going to have to align for him to take home the championship. So I think he's hoping that our top 3 leaders are going to end up fighting it out, battling it hard, and crashing out. But I don't think that's really going to happen. I mean, we got to see yesterday, of course, there was that incident, Juan Blenat as well as Nico Verone, a bit of netcode going on there, and it ended up just getting that damage from the pit entry barrier. So really close. I know there was a few things out there, just, you know, drivers in the heat of the moment just kind of saying, hey man, something needs to be done about this. We need cleaner driving. We need a lot going on. But like I said, 4,000 iRating out here, especially all those guys, they've all been out here. They are all veterans in sim racing, as well as a few of them real life racers, professional racers. So again, I mean, those incidents yesterday were just really weird netcode on some of them. Some of them, it just, you know, watching the replay over and over from different drivers' point of views as well. It was just a freak accident. So hopefully we don't have any of those today, and we're able to really have it set in stone of whoever takes home the championship today. There will be no ifs, ands, or buts. There will be nothing coming down to a steward's decision. Just clean, hard racing all day long.
And pure pace, and right now, like we have seen throughout AMX Season 6, Juan Blenat has got that pure pace. Right now he's currently leading by 3 tenths or so, but behind that it is oh so close between Valera and Jackson Rosendo right now, who you can see some effects about right there. H27 team, Texaco Esports, but also behind that Pedro Dean and the final champion or major championship contender Tobias Soriano. Then of course we got that reverse grid. I do think there is a reverse grid. I'm not stupid. So that will also come into play. Luckily though, these drivers have got 90 minutes to make their way through the field.
And out there in heat number 1, like we said out here, we got to see yesterday for AMX5, 1 mandatory pit stop out here. Today for AMX15, we got 2 mandatory pit stops out there in heat number 1. So again, strategy, such a huge part of this all season long. We got to see things work out yesterday. I mean, I think the consistency we've seen again, Juan Blenat, Gael Valero, and Toby Soriano, all 3 of those guys really just being able to find out, okay, when is a great time to hit the pits, be able to come out to manage traffic, as well as there's a few more people out here today that we got to see. Josh Perween right now that we're following along board. One of those drivers, he's not in contention for the championship right now, but definitely this man showing great pace, had some wins out there. AMX 0 yesterday, putting it down, decided to hop in GTE, and now today GT3. So we'll have to see, as right now he's still trying to set an official lap time. We have about 4 drivers out on the timing tower that have still yet to finish an official lap time. And Suzuka is one of those courses that if you don't know it like the back of your hand and you're not super comfortable in the car you're driving, it's very easy to really just get a few off tracks, get a little bit, cut the corner here, go a little bit wide there. So again, one of, I mean, just this track has so many just slightly technical corners that you have to really be focused in on the entire time. So I think that's what it's going to come down out here today, is the lack of mistakes that these drivers can make is what's going to be them up on the podium versus them towards last place.
Yeah, most of the times those mistakes, running a bit too hard, taking a bit too much curb, is in sector 1, where you have those S's where you really need to nail them, and you can't really make any overtakes though. Sure, you can try it around the outside, but very much a one-line section up until, well, you might be able to make a move going towards Degna, but you've really only got turn 1 and 2, which is very tricky, and the triangle chicane after 130R. Other than that, it's not the easiest place to make overtakes, so these drivers will have to get creative, which they have been getting in the last couple of weeks. I mean, last time out in AMX 15, they were out in the Mount Panorama, and there you have to be very, very creative if you want to get past them, so this should be no problem for them at all.
And we should see how this goes. Like I mentioned, just a lot of tight turns, a lot of that. So with the Lamborghini, I mean, really just able to just dart out of some of these turns, able to keep up that momentum. There are a couple of super long straights out at Suzuka. So definitely, like we said, on that home straight, and then coming out of turn 13 in through turn 14, all the way into the last chicane before the final turn. Definitely going to be one place to watch. Again, a lot of room for drafting for these drivers. So they're going to have to try and keep it quick, try and stay right behind. Similar to that we got to see out of Interlagos, not quite as long of a track, not quite as many straights that they have out there, but that's what we've seen. A lot of those moves came down to the home straight going down into turn 1, so I expect that to be pretty much the same out here again as well, like you said, Julian. But right now it is under 5 minutes out here left in qualifying. Currently Wamble Knott still leading the pack, a 2-minute flat .294, with Gael Valero closely behind and Jackson Asenje sitting there in third. Our other top drivers out there, Toby Soriano currently sitting in 5th place. So again, all the points count, every single point counts wherever you can get, but definitely out here with $30 on the line, 30 points out here. And just like I say that, Gael Valero now taking that top spot. So we're already seeing the back and forth between our top 2 contenders for the championship.
And we'll be seeing that throughout these sessions. Wamble Knott, he's also out there on a lap time, so I would not be surprised if he jumps back in front of him. Right now, though, he's not improving. You had the graphic up on your screen not too long ago where yellow is not improving. Green means personal best, which Tobias Soriano has right now in the first 2 sectors, and purple means fastest of the lot. But right now, like I said, Wamble Knott, he's not improving at all. Tobias Soriano is, though, now on board with Josh Berwin, like you said, Kevin, one of the race winners yesterday in AMX. Can you repeat that today? Right now, he's still not got a lap on, and with only 3.5 minutes to go, these will be the final laps that we see.
And if the drama wasn't enough between the drivers themselves, I'm taking a look at the forecast right now, and it does look like the clouds are about to start rolling in later on in the race. So definitely we're going to have to keep an eye out to see when those clouds start rolling in and if the skies open up, how that's going to affect the race. But like I said, we'll just have to wait and see exactly what happens there. That's going to play heavily into these guys' strategy as well, is if they know it's going to be raining, do you start on the dries? Do you start on the wets? What is exactly the time to go in? Do I wait out there and risk it if I'm going to see, one thing we don't have to deal with out here, there are no yellow flags out on track today. So these guys, if they crash, no yellows, no reds. It is a matter of getting out there and avoiding the carnage. So much to really come into this championship. I mean, like I said, drama, anything from the weather to these guys just battling hard. So much can happen, just like we seen yesterday. Julian, I mean, we've said it over and over, the perfect preview in the GTEs at Interlagos for what we're going to see today in terms of how hard these guys towards the top are going to battle it out.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course you had an interview with Valera at the end of yesterday where he said that they won't be racing each other any differently just because the scenario is completely different. I mean, 90 minutes compared to 35 with 25 minutes, whatever it was yesterday. Now, it's all about just keeping your head in the game. You don't want to lose it. You don't want to dip a tire on the grass going into turn 1, minute 89 out of 90, and all the hard work gets undone. It's just keeping it up lap after lap. You want to keep it cool, calm, and consistent, and that's exactly what these drivers will do, and that's what it will take to win this championship, I think.
Yeah, looking right now, also at the weather, I mean, as it currently stands, I think these lap times are going to get faster as the clouds roll in later on during the race, so I expect, yeah, things only to get just a bit faster. Right now, it's about 28 degrees outside. The track temp, almost 53 degrees, so the track temp definitely really warm out there, so again, these guys might be hoping that it cools down just to be able to save those tires, be able to have a little bit more grip as that track starts cooling down. But for right now, still in qualifying, under 2 minutes left. Gael Valero still on top. Juan Blenat second place, and Jackson Sanjay in third. Right now we're on board one of the Delete Esports drivers, Bruno De Carmo, who, again, one of the few drivers yet to hit an official lap, and he's not going to get an official lap in, as just like that, a bit of an error there going into the pit entry barrier.
Well, the pit wall has claimed another victim, it seems like, and Juan Blenat is not going to beat Gael Valero. He's missed out by 300ths of a second. Can Jackson Resende do it? But Gael Valero is right now on provisional pole, and by barely any time. He's kept it consistent. He's kept his time in. Juan Blenat just missing out by a tiny bit, and Tobias Soriano will remain P5 at best. Jackson Resende does not improve, or he does not improve. He slightly goes slightly slower, and I think this will be your qualifying order then.
Yeah, so I mean, a great run from some of these guys, but like I said, it's so far the battle between the top two drivers in the championship, Juan Blenat and Gael Valero. Like I mentioned, kind of similar to yesterday, some of the drivers that were sitting kind of in the mid-pack during qualifying came out and really picked up the pace during the races. So, like I said, with triple the points on the line for heat number one, these drivers are definitely going to have to find that pace quick if they're going to want to end up on the podium. But for so far, it's looking like Juan Blenat, Gael Valero, those two guys absolutely going to be looking to get on that podium. So right now, again, your Ben Q session winner out there, your top qualifier, Gael Valero with a 2-minute flat, .208. Coming in closely behind him, we got Juan Blenat, and then Jackson Sanjay in third. Going down the running order, we got Pedro Dean in fourth, Toby Soriano fifth, Ruben Llorente Jr. in sixth, Roman Pascucci seventh. In eighth place, we got Simon Demori, ninth, Marcos Saavedra, 10th, Gerard Sardeni, 11th, Josh Perween, and unfortunately, Bruno De Carmo in 12th, unable to set an official timeout here in qualifying.
And after qualifying, did some running of the numbers. Valero's now only 1 point behind Blenat, so that pole position has really helped him to close in on the gap.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, I mean, it's going to be so close. We know that coming into this thing, but just seeing how close these two, Juan Blenat, Gael Valero up there. Again, Toby Soriano, although he's sitting in the middle of the pack, we know that it's really, he's able to get into the rhythm very quick. So again, we may see that three-way battle going up for the podium like we had yesterday. I'm not going to make any predictions for this one. I mean, again, the drivers are out there already showing what they can do. Just going to leave it all out on the line, especially if the rain starts to pour down out here. Quite literally, some of these guys a little bit better in the rain. Some people like me favor the rain on certain tracks than others. So Suzuka, one of those places that, again, how technical it can be in certain corners, it's going to make it an entirely different race if the clouds open up.
Yeah, and if we do get rain, we could see the drivers trying to eke out that first stint, not wanting to pit twice in quick succession and going very early onto the wet tires. You want to try and hold it in as long as possible if the rain is arriving about halfway through or a bit earlier than halfway through. It could be that it arrives at the end of it, and then it'll be interesting to see if we do have some drivers risking it and coming in at the death of it and see if they can make up some places.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's so many possibilities, but I think right now it's just going to be, okay, these guys know if they want to get the championship, they're just going to have to stay in front of the ones behind them. Try to keep it a little bit more simple. Of course, we got C out there. You're going to have to spread into my plug some of these numbers back in the spreadsheet too. So I'm like you, Julian, out there making sure, try to keep track, try to see exactly, okay, what do these drivers need to do, how far ahead do they need to, but at the end of the day, I think all of them are going to be shooting for the win to really cement that championship. So again, out here, quick reminder, heat number 1, 90 points for first place, 60 points for second. So a 30-point gap between first and second place out here in heat 1. So this win is huge versus only a 10-point difference in qualifying and in heat number 2. But here we go, folks. As the pace car is coming off, these drivers now bunching up, getting ready to go out here at Suzuka. The heat number 1, the grand finale of AMX Season 6. Here we go, folks. Now a great start up from the front. We have Bruno DeCarmo, Gerard Sardeni, Josh Perween, all of these guys now starting to fall in line. The wide home straight now as we go into turn number 1. We're going to see who goes for the move. Bruno DeCarmo had an amazing start there. Look how far ahead that he has. And just like that, we already have one incident going down. That looks like Gerard Sardeni getting pitted now off into the wall.
The lone Audi in the grid then as behind and still fighting away there. Josh Perween and Marcus Saavedra into the S's. But now there's another spinner there in the background. Who's that? Is that Ruben Lorente? I think it is, or it might be Pedro Dean. It might be the pair of them actually. There might be a second guy involved in that. No, I think it was both of them. Yeah, it was both Ruben Lorente and Pedro Dean getting caught up in that. But for now, Bruno DeCarmo, excellent start. Like you said, leads by almost 2 seconds ahead of Josh Perween. Marcus Saavedra in P3 then, but Scucci is not too far behind him as well.
And just like that again, I mean, they're not entirely out of this race, but they did drop down quite a few seconds. So it's a bit of a longer race. We know that that is going to happen. The lap 1 chaos is already ensued. So we'll have to see as now these guys starting to get in line. Bruno DeCarmo, like we said, unable to get an official lap time in qualifying. Just some of those trying to things, just really pushing it hard out here. So we'll have to see if now he's able to just dial it back just a little bit and stay in the lead. He's already 2-second gap between himself and Josh Perween in second place. But like I said, we have a lot of the faster guys in qualifying now able to make their way. We already have Juan Blanat currently up 5 positions, Jackson Asenje up 3, as well as Gael Valero up 3. So again, you know, lap 1, that is not a horrible place to be making up positions like that. But unfortunately, with those couple of incidents, I'm sure we're going to catch a replay of that one that caught up those guys early on. But for right now, as we're coming to the last final corners of this lap number 1, it's still Bruno DeCarmo. Again, not the best in qualifying, but he still wants to come out of here. One more win on the season, and what a better place to do it than AMX 15.
Absolutely, and someone who did not get a great start, who needed it, is Tobias Soriano. He has not moved up any positions and is already behind one of his championship rivals, Juan Blanat, so it's not looking too great for him right now. He'll have to see if he can win it on the pit stops, which he usually does. He won it yesterday on the pit stops, so we'll have to see if that happens again. But right now, Josh Perween is being put under a lot of pressure from Marcus Saavedra behind him, who's just following him to S's. Like we said, very much a one-line corner. You can try and get a good run at a Dunlop right here, but it's such a scary corner as well, because if you run just a bit too wide, the grass and gravel meets you with open arms, and that's it. You won't be able to get back on the tarmac without losing 2 or 3 seconds then. But it is oh so close. Then Juan Blanat is also very close to Simon De Mori behind these two.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, with those guys starting to battle it out towards the middle of the pack, that's going to leave even more room for the leader to start walking away. Now 2.3 second gap. Marcus Saavedra, again, we've got to see him show great pace all season long, so I'm sure he's really coming out here. Although Marcus, he was only 9th in qualifying, I mean, he's still holding on really great out here, up 1 position, holding on to that 3rd place. But again, Roman Pascucci about a 2nd gap, Simone De Mori, Juan Blanat, there is so much going on throughout this entire place. So Suzuka is really one of those tracks that you really have to be careful exactly where you want to make the move happen. I mean, you know, those incidents earlier, I'm sure we'll have to get the replay, but anytime that you just send a dive out here on this course, you're running that risk of ending up into the side of somebody, and there's always going to be someone that loses out on that. So again, out here, Josh Perween still great job holding on to 2nd place. Marcus Saavedra trying to catch up in 3rd. Roman Pascucci right behind him, and the gap starting to close a little bit. 1 second gap between 3rd and 4th now. Again, just not really too many opportune moments. You're really going to have to be patient out here today, and I think a technical course is that's really what it comes down to. Is yes, you may have outright pace whenever you have plenty of room. But once you guys start getting bunched up out here on track, it's really just, okay, when do I go in? And I'm really surprised that no one has really gone for that early pit. I mean, the only person we see out there, Gerard Sardeni, but that is due to that incident he had out there in lap number 1.
Yeah, that is something that we usually don't see. Usually we see at least 2-3 cars in right away, but it seems like everyone's very happy to just stick in a train for now. And in a train, they are on board with Hamble not right now. He's got Jackson Osende behind him, but he's also got Simon De Mori right in front of him. So he needs to look out for the pair of them. Then he's looking to make a move on him sooner rather than later. And I did some more running of the numbers. If Plainart wins and has the fastest lap, there is nothing Valero or Soriano can do to try and win the championship in Heat 2. So they need to stop him from winning the race and getting the fastest lap. He's now going round the outside at the hairpin. He has a little look, but then just goes in a bit too deep. Then as the outside doesn't really have the backing that the inside has, does he get a better run now towards the smooth curve? He's 3 or so tenths behind then. Is he close enough? No, I think he'll have to wait for the run down to 130R and the triangle chicane.
Yeah, and looking at the current points right now, so after qualifying, that put Gael Valero in a great place. Currently, after that qualifying run, he is now only 1 point difference between him and Juan Blenat. Of course, Gael Valero getting first place out here in qualifying. Juan Blenat getting second right behind him, closing down that gap to 1 point. The gap right now, 44 points between Toby Soriano and the leader out there. So again, still super close. There's 140 points out here to be given, especially out here. Being able to set the fastest lap really makes a huge difference. 15 points out here in heat number 1 for the fastest lap. So it can go really, I mean, to any of these guys out here towards the top of the field. But even now, too, Bruno De Carmo being showing a lot better pace now than he was in qualifying. And here we go, the first hitter, Jackson Asenge out here, like I said, outside of that incident of Gerard Sardeni. So Jackson Asenge getting a little bit tired of dealing with the traffic out there. Now going to be seeing if he can get the undercut, get a lot of clean air, and try to set some fast laps.
Yep, and now we see the incident. What happened with Sardeni? So it was the run down towards turn 1, then he was on the inside, and I'm assuming he just runs out a bit too wide and gets clipped on his rear right by the Porsche. Yep, that's exactly what happens, and he just goes spewing across the tarmac then. I think he just avoids the wall, if I'm not mistaken, or he actually, I think he might hit it pretty hard into the gravel. No, it seems like, yeah, he does hit it pretty damn hard as well, so that's why he needed to get himself back into the pits. That was a whole lot of damage then, and damage is not something you want in a, what is it now, 41 laps left to go then, and we see Juan Blenat then right behind Simon De Mori. Look at that, 3/10 of a second separating them, coming through the hairpin, and I would not be surprised if we see our move right now. I think that's what's holding Blenat up right now, is that Simon De Mori also has a slipstream from Pascucci in front of them, so they're all in what Formula 1 fans might call a DRS train, just instead of DRS with slipstream. And in front of that, you can see Saavedra is very close to Berwin then, 1.5 tenths separating. So these three behind might have to sit here with a bucket of popcorn instead and watch those two fight as they go on the race. You might see it just in front of us. There you go, going defensive. But Juan Blenat currently in P6, and his championship rivals are behind him. Tobias Soriano in P7 and Valero in P8.
Yeah, one thing also to keep in mind, going back to that incident was, just between Josh Perwin and Gerard Sardeni, again, there was really no place for that Porsche on the outside to go. He was already with one tire on the track, or 2 tires on the track, 2 tires off the track. So, really, that could have ended up worse for him as well. That would have been Josh Perwin in that Porsche, but luckily he's still able to hold on to that second place position. So it's still been Bruno De Carmo and Josh Perwin, your top 2 runners out here since the very beginning. Again, Marco Saavedra has some pretty good pace. We'll have to see though, like we mentioned, Julian, those guys just being held up in the middle of the field, some of the faster guys in qualifying out here today. Yeah, you really can't do it because all right, I don't want to risk it. So at what point do you just say, if you're Juan Blenat, he knows he has the other guys behind him. That's all he really needs to do to secure the championship. Just make sure he can keep Gael Valero and Toby Soriano behind him. So again, it's going to be a great battle between the 2 Argentine drivers right there, 6th, 7th. Right now, still Josh Perwin having to defend hard now against Marco Saavedra. Saavedra closing that gap. Again, I think with Josh Perwin just having to run slightly more defensive. That's leaving Bruno Di Carmo already over a 3-second gap now. So only 5 laps into this thing, and our leader is already starting to slightly walk away with it. But like we mentioned, those pit stops, anything can change the tide out here.
Yeah, and you never know. Marcus Saavedra might have quicker pace than Bruno Di Carmo, but he's just getting held up by Josh Perwin. And you see all 4 of them are on the right-hand side looking all rather relaxed, just 10 minutes or so into a 90-minute race, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 9 minutes 40, pretty dead on then. Josh Perwin then still under pressure from Marcus Saavedra. I think he's just a bit too far back then, as he loses a bit of momentum in 130. Might need to get off the throttle a bit then, so he just is not close enough to make a move into the chicane here.
And I mean, out there, just taking a look at the driver cams, it must be pretty hot out there in Argentina today. So we'll have to get I don't know about a word from them to see, hey man, how hot is it actually out there? I'm going to have to check the weather. But nonetheless, still back out here. Again, Marcos Saavedra doing a great job. Roman Pascucci as well. So there's a very good chance that we could see an Argentine 1, 2, 3. It wouldn't be the first time this season that we've got to see that, or I mean the first time in AMX really. But again, anything goes on. So right now, lap number 645, Bruno Di Carmo leading, Josh Perwin second place, Marcus Saavedra in third. Our top 3 championship runners right now, Juan Blenat in 6th. We have Toby Soriano in 7th, Gael Valero in 8th place. So again, out here, just a quick reminder, points are tripled out here for heat number 1. Points are tripled compared to heat number 2 and qualifying. So first place, 90 points, second place, 60, and third place, 54. And it just blows my mind how important it is to get the win in heat number 1 versus even just coming in second place. Huge points difference, and that's really what is shaking up the championship this season.
Yeah, and I remember, Kevin, you told me that Valero, he missed heat 1 sometime, I'm not sure when, and I mean, that's 90 points you lose on a race when he was there for heat 2, but lost a whole bunch of points, and right now that's what's put him behind in the championship. But back to the fight for P2, the Saavedra, he had a small look up the inside, then can he get a good run at a spoon, going a bit wide there. Josh Perwin in the second phase of the corner, can Saavedra get a good run? He's closer than ever then in the slipstream, 1.5 tenths behind. Surely he can make the move now on the run to 130 of then. Josh Perwin, he's positioned himself in the middle of the track there. Saavedra can't find a way behind, just needs to back off a bit during 130 so it seems like. But now, going a bit wide, Josh Perwin, Saavedra has a look on the outside. I think he'll try and set up a better move then on the main straight, going for the switchback, first right, left to right, then left to right. In the background though, Blenat and Simone De Mori then fighting side by side out of the final corner. Blenat onto the grosser for a section. Can Tobias Soriano now get past his championship rival and move up into P6? I think he has. He's got the inside anyway towards turn 1, and he has gone in front. So Blenat went from attack to defense, and now he's lost a position down into P7. He's now got Valero behind him.
So just like that, again, great moves being made throughout the grid, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. I mean, it's still really close all the way through pretty much our top 8 drivers. So second place right now, all the way down into 8th place. Still really close train going on. A bit of a gap going on back there between 8th and 9th place as well. Still the gap between 1st and 2nd. So we'll have to see, as right now, Gerard Sardeni, Jackson Asenji, the only guys to have entered in the pit lane. Once again, there are 2 mandatory pit stops. So with it being a 90-minute race, I'm going to be curious if these guys are going to wait about 30 minutes into this thing, wait another 15 minutes or so, and just say, you know what, okay, now try to get out of here, not deal with the traffic anymore. But at the same time, I mean, it's really great to be with the long straights in the draft of that. So it's kind of that risk of, hey, do I want to try and get clean air, or do I want to try and stay in the train, stay in the draft? Again, so far it's looking like a lot of these guys just trying to get the momentum going, just trying to see, again, when is the driver in front of you going to make that mistake to get that? No one's really trying to make any risky passes, as they know there's a lot on the line out here, especially in heat number 1 versus heat number 2. This is going to be the big one that could potentially seal the deal for one of these drivers.
And speaking of sealing the deal there, I did some quick maths, and if my math is not wrong, now 90% of the time it is wrong, Blenat needs to outscore Valero, and spinning there, speak out mistakes there. Perwin gets on the curbing and he's spun right around back onto the track and getting smashed into, well, is that Tobias Soriano? I think it is. I think it might be Tobias Soriano, as he is behind him on the track. So one of the championship contenders then smashing into Josh Perwin, then he was then spinning what I'm assuming was the curb or the grass, and it was Tobias Soriano. Yes, so to be confirmed, he was just so close, and you could see that front bumper of the Porsche, and he is continuing on. That seemed like a very heavily damaged front bumper then. But yeah, Saavedra now moves up into P2, and we'll be able to see what sort of pace he has. So wow, just like that, we were talking about mistakes, and that is an absolutely huge one for Josh Perwin.
Oh man, and I can absolutely not wait to see the replay on that. Just like that shifted the tides. We thought, hey, it might be the weather, but just a simple mistake made things go wrong for one person, and it just ends up bottling down the entire track. And here we see Pedro Dean, and it's in that happened, another spin right there, and man, these guys just, yeah, getting bunched up there. Another spin, and just like that, the domino effect back there. So that incident back there with Pedro Dean getting involved as well. I mean, again, so much going on throughout the entire race. And again, lap number 8 of 45. I really, you never hope to see those things, as entertaining as it is. But at the same time, hey, that is hard racing. That is, sometimes you push it a little bit too hard and you go past the limit. Sometimes someone else pushes it too hard and ends up going into you. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And with that, I mean, I'm assuming those guys are going to head straight to the pits. Toby Soriano, right now, he did end up going into the pits, getting some of that damage repaired, coming back out. So, like I said, still anything can happen. There's quite a bit of a gap, though. Almost a minute gap now between Toby Soriano and the leaders. So he has a lot of work to do if he wants to get back up to the podium. But again, keep an eye on the clouds right now. Clouds starting to roll in just a little bit. It was nice blue skies earlier. Now looking like it's partly cloudy out there. So again, keep an eye on that. Is it going to come down in heat number 1, or will the rain not come down until heat number 2? Only time will tell.
Well, the session status right now is what I'm seeing is that it is cloudy, and those clouds, they're not friendly white clouds. They seem pretty grey, so we might see some rain there. But now there were 6 cars fighting. Now there's 5 then, and I can get back to my math. So everyone, get your notebooks out. Juan Blenat needs to outscore Gael Valero by 38.5 points if he wants to wrap up the championship in Heat 1. Right now he's just 1 position in front, yet to make his pit stop, same as Valero. And he's got still Simone De Mori in his sights then. Can he get past him? Of course, he's inherited P5 once again from Tobias Soriano's spinning, so kind of helped him how he was not in that position and that close to Josh Perwin then. But right now it's seeming like he is really putting the pressure on Simone De Mori.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, also to keep in mind, 140 points altogether out there, including for the driver that gets the fastest lap. So again, if any of these drivers out here end up having a perfect run from here on out, first place in Heat 1, first place Heat 2, as well as setting fastest lap, they have 140 points to go their way. But right now, heading into that full screen replay of what happened earlier, here we can see leading the train, that Porsche, the number 11 of Josh Perwin going, and it looks like he may just begin a little bit hard on the curbs. I know he's been really trying to push it out here today, especially past qualifying. And there we see just the slide out on the curb, and looking there right behind him, man, just 1 Lamborghini getting by there, 2 Lamborghinis getting by. But we also see another spin out there in the back. So again, 2 spin outs on the same place, and that was looking like, again, Toby Soriano back there. And then unfortunately these guys, Gael Valero just barely brushing and clipping the front bumper there. So Gael Valero having a bit of damage. Toby Soriano there we can see now coming back into frame, spinning out. So again, yeah, I mean, we expected it maybe it to be a little bit different than how it played out, Julian. But just like that, we mentioned the slightest mistakes can have grave consequences.
Wow, yeah, so those were 2 completely different incidents between then Josh Perwin and Tobias Soriano. I thought Soriano was the one who smashed into him, but it seems like it was Valero. Surely Valero has got some sort of damage, but right now he's keeping up with the drivers in front of him, so might not be affecting him too much right now. Lap 10 out of 45 then, and we've still not seen as many pit stops as I was expecting, if I'm completely honest. But Marco Saavedra, I think he is ever so slightly closing in on that gap that Bruno De Carmo has built up.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, again, for Guy Alvalero, if he has a bit of front bumper damage going on, just staying in the draft will help negate that a lot out here. So, like I mentioned, some of those technical corners, all right, low speed corners, not going to really be too much of an issue. But I think once he starts noticing if his pace is slowing down right now, almost a second gap between Juan Blanat and Guy Alvalero, I think he wants to be able to stay close to the guy, to Juan Blanat. And oh, just like that, almost a spin right there. So going up front, we get to see Simon Demori, Roman Pascucci almost having a half spin, and Simon Demori quick on the brakes to check up to make sure not to end up into the rear end of him. So great reactions there by Demori, but Roman Pascucci also great save. I thought that one was going to just get away from him. So we'll have to see, as now that's closed up the gap even more from the drivers behind him. Juan Blanat, Guy Alvalero right now bunched up. So it's a 4-car train right there, the battle for P3.
Oh, that's so easy to do on the exit of the hairpin as the banking just gets away from you. And now the Porsche of Simon Demori has a look on the inside of one. That is very brave if you want to try a move there. He sticks behind for now, maybe wants to go for it into the triangle chicane. He has a look up the inside, but sticks behind. Instead, he needs to look behind. Juan Blanat is also right behind him, and Valero is also right behind Juan Blanat. So all 4 of these guys are somewhat on top of each other. Can Simon Demori get a good run to where he can challenge going into turn 1? I think this main straight might just be a tad bit too short. You really need to get a good run out of turn 17, and you want the driver in front to just have a snap of oversteer, just running a bit too wide. Then you've got a good chance of going side by side and ahead into this first section.
One thing I'm going to be curious about is if these drivers end up switching tires. I mean, we're keeping an eye on the weather, and definitely that will be the time to switch tires or not if there is going to be rain coming on later on. But right now, I mean, the track temp is still about 52, almost 53 degrees, the track surface temperature. So yeah, these tires are going to be wearing a little bit faster than these drivers may like. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to really push it out here for the full 90 minutes, who might go in there and just say, all right, I'm going to get on some fresher rubber and try to start setting faster time. So again, that's something that we'll have to keep in mind. Probably I'd say about an hour into this race might be that time that they'll start filling that tire wear. Again, keep an eye on the times. Everyone out there too, you see the QR code pop up periodically out there, so feel free to scan that QR code, get all of the live timing information out there, see who's faster through what sectors, how close everyone is, when they pit, etc. A lot of information out there. So yeah, big props out there, AMX being able to make that available for everyone. We love having all the information, especially when you're a nerd like me. I would not be able to do that without my job. Want to be able to do my job without having all that information. But right now, still lap number 11 of 45. Bruno De Carmo still in first place with over 3.5 second gap between first and second. Marco Saavedra, the pressure is off with that error Roman Pascucci made a while back. So now almost 2 second gap between second and third place. So Julian, I think right now it's really going to be the battle for third, and to see if any of these guys are, just as I say that right now, Simon Demori going to the inside of the chicanes trying to get that, and now side by side back and forth, Roman Pascucci, who's going to get the better run out here into the final corner. It looks like that is going to be Simon Demori, but Juan Blanat takes advantage of that too, so the door being left wide open right there by Roman Pascucci, and now we're going to see who is going to get the best run into turn number 1.
Pascucci just backing out of that going into turn 1, but what a move by Simon Demori. He did something to break the deadlock there, absolutely set on the inside, late on the brake, and that's a great move from him into the triangle chicane. What a move. I mean, that's got to be the best move we've seen today so far. Of course, we do still have a solid hour of racing left in Heat 1 alone, then again another 30 minutes space up into Peter, and Juan Blanat crucially was able to sneak through as well. Exactly what I said. You want to get a better run out of the final turn than the driver in front, and he did just that. Now Valero needs to get past Pascucci, and Blanat has now pretty much got mobile chicane between him and Valero, so a bit of protection for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just some of those moves right there, these guys knew, okay, it's going to have to be done eventually. So just a great job waiting for that opportune moment. I think Simon Demori was trying to make that move happen earlier, but then he's seen Roman Pascucci have that bit of slide out a couple laps ago and just said, you know, I better back off because I don't want to go for a move and have another driver in front of me make an error that takes us both out. So still, great job of being patient by all of these guys, but now still it is Juan Blanat 2 positions up over Gael Valero. Of course, Toby Soriano having that spin out earlier on, now still in last place. So things are not looking the best for Toby Soriano in terms of the overall championship. It's still looking like it might just come down to Juan Blanat, Gael Valero out there. After qualifying, Toby Soriano currently down 44 points between him and the championship. So he's really going to have to make sure at this point, everything else, no more mistakes out on track, and hope that these guys really, something happens, that they make a mistake just like he did, or that something doesn't go exactly right according to pit strategy. So right now still lap number 13 as we go into this. Bruno DeCarmo, I mean, we haven't really seen much between Bruno or Marco Saavedra the last few laps. I mean, really, Bruno DeCarmo got the lead and just kind of started walking away with it. Just said, all right, guys, I may have not set a qualifying time, but that doesn't mean I'm slow. So definitely proven out here. He has what it takes. He came out here to prove a point, put it down for Team Delite and put it down for Brazil. So we'll have to keep an eye out on our leaders. Again, Julian, I mean, yeah, really, I'm glad I didn't make any predictions, because even at this point, anything can still happen. It is still so many tight battles going on throughout the entire field.
On right there, you could see the grey clouds in the background slowly moving in above the track, and especially sector 1 then. And another thing is good we didn't make predictions, because usually we end up cursing or jinxing that said driver, so we should just keep our mouths shut when it comes to that, maybe put out a prediction after they cross the finish line. I think that's the plan for us tonight. But still, Simon de Moore holds a small gap in front of Juan Blanat. Juan Blanat, then the driver in front of him does not have a slipstream, so it should be a bit more easy for him to overtake him than it was for Pescucci. Pescucci did have the slipstream all the time off Simone de Mori then, so I think he might make a move then sooner rather than later. It is getting very grey out there. It seems like we're almost heading into the night time now, isn't it, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, just like that, definitely the weather's starting to change a bit now. Track temperature still hot, air temperature still the same. So again, but now, yeah, you can just see the overcast now going over the track on certain parts. So again, with this being such a long track, definitely it can be one of those places that on certain parts of the track it might be raining, other parts of the track not so much. So we'll have to see. As great view from right here, Juan Blanat still trying to find the move, but again, these guys trying to play it very, very safe out here. I don't expect that to be the case once we get into heat number 2, especially depending on how far these guys are ahead of each other. So I know for Bruno DeCarmo, Marcus Saavedra, Simone de Moore, these guys absolutely trying to do whatever they can to get up onto the podium, and so far it's working out for them. Of course, Bruno DeCarmo getting pole position by being last in qualifying, taking full advantage of that reverse grid out here. He's been in first place, got pole position, took off, and just like that, Julian, I see rain coming down on the track.
I see rain and I see windshield wiper. This is not good news for the ones who've already pitted early, so this might be why we did not see cars in lap 1 or so. They were holding out for the rain, and now they gotta hold out until it's time for the wet. So it might not even get that wet. It might be a situation where it's half wet, half dry, and what you want to do then, you don't really want to back up, because then you lose all tire temperature. So you want to keep on pushing, but pushing on the very edge as curves that are going to start to get very slippery. And this race has just had another twist, and it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, it's a track it's very elongated, right? So it might not rain down at Spoon, but right now it seems like it's raining heavier on the far side of the track.
And that's the other thing, looking like I mean, there's still not too many clouds out there. So again, rain on one part of the track, dry on another part of the track, as well as it's raining pretty light right now. So not really much mist coming up, but like I said, it's only been raining for, not even a minute yet. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Once you start seeing the spray, this is really where Simone de Mori, again, being ahead of the train right here, not just because he is such an excellent driver in the rain from what we've seen from previous races. I mean, he's probably one of the best drivers I've seen out there on slicks in the wet, but definitely one of these guys that leading the train, you can take full advantage of that. You want to be a little bit more cautious, especially if the rain starts pouring down a little bit more later on. Once you start seeing that mist behind them, this is one of those tracks that you do not want to be driving blind at all. There's so many places that things can go wrong, but just like that, Juan Blanat into the pit lane, as well as Roman Pascucci. So let's see if these guys are going to go in there and We'll have to see if they get on the jack stands, if these guys are going to switch tires over to the wet. Say, I'm not going to risk it. I have a lot on the line, but who else is going in there now? Yeah, Juan Blanat, Roman Pascucci, Pedro Dean, Gael Valero opting to stay out. So definitely there, Juan Blanat, we see him getting his tires changed right now. And Julian, this may change the tide once again for this race.
It can change the outcome of the race and the entire championship. If Juan Blanat pitted a lap too early, then Valero might overcut him. And if he pitted on the exact same lap, Valero is going to lose even more time in. But right now, it seems like, oh, you can see there, fighting with the car. Simone de Moore, a bit of oversteer coming out of Dunlop. That turn is already tricky enough in the dry, but then also in these halfway out dry situations, it is so tricky. And you can just tell they are tiptoeing around now. And I think it is time for wet stands. Oh, a bit of understeer there as well. So I think those guys who pit last lap have timed it rather beautifully. And it, like I said, it does not help the likes of Tobias Soriano, Jackson Resende, who have already pit, who now need to pit for a second time. Of course, everyone needs to pit two times, but pitting twice in the early stages of the race, it's never great because you might not have any tires left at the end. Bruno de Carmo has been caught up by Marcus Saavedra, so Saavedra is seeming to be very confident in these conditions as going wide. Bruno de Carmo there in Spoon Curve, and we might see an overtake here from Saavedra. Gets a good run at a Spoon Curve down the straight, and can he make the move? Both of the headlights on both of the Lamborghinis. Can he get the move before them both, what I'm assuming is heading to the pit lane? You can now see the spray. It's really picked up here in the last 1.5 laps or so.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Bruno de Carmo not feeling quite as confident as Marco Saavedra, so this may be the time. Again, some of these drivers do better in the wet, some of these drivers do better in the dry, so we'll have to keep an eye out as well as on the tire compound. So yeah, pretty much most of these drivers heading into the pits now. Toby Soriano, that makes it his second pit stop of the day, back on the wets, but it does look like as these guys towards the front of the pack. Bruno de Carmo, Marco Saavedra saying, all right, I'm going to go. So let's see if Simone de Mori ends up staying out there. No, he's going to hit the pit lane as well as Gael Valero. Definitely, I think right now that is the smartest strategy from a lot of these guys. Play it safe, try to stay out here, especially for everyone that it's their first pit stop. But now, Juan Blanat leading the pack of those guys that have already pit. Where is he going to come out in front of these guys? Or will we see Bruno de Carmo, Marcus Saavedra? I mean, they lost quite a bit of time on that last lap, so we're going to have to see who is going to be the leader after these guys exit the pit stops, as well as the guys like Toby Soriano, Roman Pascucci already in the pits twice. So the rain will be clearing up later on once it starts drying out. If it dries out before the end of this race, they might start losing pace once again. So yeah, so much can happen out here, but still Bruno de Carmo out first of the pits, still holding on that lead. Now Juan Blanat making his way up to second place. So links are looking very good right now. Juan Blanat, Gael Valero going to be coming out of the pits right now. Let's see where these guys go. Marco Saavedra right behind him. So it does look like Saavedra having a lot longer pit stop out there. A 40-second pit stop, nearly, I'd say about 10 to 15 seconds longer than the other driver. So not sure exactly what happened there with that either. If he says, hey, I'm going to make this one a little bit longer to make sure I have enough fuel to the end. Don't have to do that splash and dash later on. Again, Julian, yeah, so much going on, but right now it is still looking very good between Juan Blanat and Gael Valero. Right now, Juan Blanat just edging in the championship lead.
Well, the gap was, what was it, 1.52 seconds before the pit stop. It's now 11 seconds, so Valero, he needs to claw back quite a bit of time in these wets, and in these wet conditions, it's really whoever can acclimatize themselves the quickest and find the most pace in the opening stages, because that's where you're going to make up the pace, not once everyone's gotten used to the wet, but everyone has now done at least one pit stop and is onto the wet setup. And Juan Blanat is also closing up to the lead quickly, and you said it's going to dry up, but if it stays wet, that means that the fastest lap will remain in the same person, in the same driver. And further behind, Tobias Soriano, then he's looking to make up the time he lost due to that spin, and is now behind Jackson Resende. He's looking left, he's looking right. Can he make his way past in these tricky conditions?
And looking right now at the timing screen, it is looking like so far that is Jackson Resende with the current fastest lap. So he's not fighting for the championship in the top three like the other drivers have been, but again, still that extra 15 points, taking that away from one of those top three drivers. Now it's really just about track placement, because like you said, Julian, oh, and a spin right there. Josh Perween spinning once again, so his second spin out here, and I mean, this time in the rain, things a little bit more tricky, but he's dropping down now, giving room for the drivers behind him. Again, Toby Soriano going to be a little bit happier about that. Closing that gap, Toby Soriano, he currently, I mean, still almost a minute behind the leader, but able to get 2 more positions after that pit stop. And right now, too, we'll have to see as he's closing in closely right behind Jackson Assange, trying to make 1 more pit stop. He knows every single point counts, but it might still not be enough if Juan Blenat and Gael Valero are on the podium.
Yep, but it's going to give him the best shot going into Heat 2 there, where, like I said, less points, fastest lap is only worth 7.5 points. It's still enough to where it can make a big impact on the championship fight, and it's still Tobias Soriano. He's looking to make up for that. I think what happened to Josh Perwin is he had an initial slide and then another bump just to finish the job. I'm sure we'll get a replay of it in the upcoming laps. But now, lap 17 out of 45, then Bruno De Carmo is being caught by Juan Blenat by quite a big gap. It was 5 seconds or so at the start of their lap. It is now 4 seconds, so he is closing in rapidly, and we might see overtake for the lead shortly.
And trying to look at the forecast now, so looks like it might be raining for roughly a little bit over 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes out here with the rain going. So right now, 30, 45 minutes, it definitely should be clearing up before the end of this race. So let's see how long these guys, again, most of these guys still have their second pit stop of the day to end up out here, but anything can happen if someone stays out there long enough for it to dry up, get back on the slicks and start setting fast laps once again. Or are these guys going to say, you know what, I'm not going to really risk it out here. I'm just going to go and see how long I can go. See, maybe, yeah, we probably will see an undercut from at least someone trying to risk it. Not sure if it's going to be from one of our championship leaders, as like I mentioned, they have a lot more to lose on the line than some of these guys lower in the points. These guys don't really have much to lose. They just want to get out here and get 1 more win in the championship. But right now, still Bruno De Carmo starting to still hold on, about 3 seconds between him and Juan Blenat in second. Gael Valero about 13 seconds. So it is looking like Juan Blenat seemingly a little bit more comfortable than Gael Valero out here in the rain.
As well, everyone's got slightly different driving style and what line to take into corners. Of course, the basic rule when it's raining is stay off the regular racing line, because that's where you don't have any grip. So you want to keep it out wide as long as possible and then cut in very late. And you can see right now, De Carmo is following that racing line you would do in the dry normally. I wonder what Juan Blenat is doing, if he's doing that exact same thing or is going off or has an offset to the racing line. When we were with Tobias Soriano and Jackson Resende, we saw that they were going for a very late apex just to get the best run out of the corner as possible. But Juan Blenat, he's lost a bit of time now, 3 seconds. It was 2.6. So it seems like in sector 1, Bruno De Carmo has the edge over him.
And I see a question out here that asking about our favorite sound engines out here. So V10 Lamborghinis, of course, out here. Audi V10, flat 6 from the Porsche. I mean, as far as GT3 cars out there on the field, I mean, I think I'm going to have to go again. I think we had this question yesterday too of just that flat 6 from the Porsche. I mean, I think that is still probably one of my favorite sounds out here from these GT3 cars. Julian, what would be your favorite sound of engine, that favorite exhaust note from the cars out on track today?
I'd have to agree with you there with the Porsche Flat 6, such an iconic sound. It's got such a oomph and roar to it. I absolutely love it. And I saw someone else answering to that question in chat, not really with the engine sound, but instead saying the sound of opening a beer. So hats off to whoever said that, respect. But yeah, the flat 6 for me, I fully agree with you on that one there, Kevin.
And out here too, I mean, yeah, I have to agree with some of these guys out here too. The RSR sounds a little bit better, I think. Yeah, I mean, the RSR, such an iconic Porsche GT car, definitely one of those that there's so many iconic moments. But yeah, I mean, while we're on the subject, I think honestly, I don't think we've had this question pretty much every single time we've come into AMX 15 this season. So I think last time too, when we're out with GTP cars, same thing of I'm very biased. I gotta love the Cadillac. Anytime that I see an American car out there competing, I mean, just awesome. But speaking of American cars competing, I mean, I'm surprised, but I'm not about the Mustang GT3 out here. Again, that's usually one of those, does a little bit better on the straights or some of these places where you're going to be hitting a lot of curbing. But right now, not sure this is really the track for that car, that or even the Mercedes. Again, those two front engines right here, it is really a track that the rear engine vehicles tend to do, especially whenever you have a fixed setup like this. But right now, enough about that. Back to the battle going on. Simone de Mori trying to battle off Pedro Dean. Pedro Dean really trying to see what he can do right now, hanging it on the outside, forcing him to go defensive, and a little bit of a bump right there. But again, like you mentioned, Julian, these guys trying to have to stay off of that rubbered in line to really just get as much grip as they can. So some of these places are really going to turn into opportune passing moments, just like we've seen there, trying to pass on the outside of turn number 1, really get the momentum. But again, you still have to be really careful, because if your tires touch that curbing, you may as well just kiss it goodbye, because you're going to be spinning out, especially on the tighter corners. Some of those long corners, you might be able to get away with it, but there's so many just like that. We see a little bit of a waver back and forth from Pedro Dean. So again, tight battles in the rain. It also, who knows what's going to happen. Simone de Mori, great in the rain. Pedro Dean, also great in the rain. Anything can happen right now. Bruno de Carmo with the gap closing between him and Juan Blanat. The gap going even further between Juan Blanat and Gael Valero. So much to keep track of right now. Still everyone on the wets, however. Few people taking 2 pit stops. Most of the guys still out on 1.
Pedro Dean, it seems like he's getting better drive out of this, and now he's going to try it around the outside at the hairpin, then trying the alternative line, but that was very ambitious from him, trying to go on the outside of the hairpin. I mean, we were talking about staying off the racing line, but I think that was a bit too far off the racing line then, as Simone de Mori just stayed on the inside, said, you go that way, mate, I'm just going to shut you the door on the exit. But now, Pedro Dean, like I said, he gets such good runs out of the corners. I saw it in the 2, he was almost fully alongside then, and I think it is, goes in for a slightly later apex than Simone de Mori, and then just gets on the power a whole lot earlier. And now you can't really see anything. I mean, we see quite a bit here, but imagine how he has it for him sitting on the left-hand side. Now in the slipstream, Simone de Mori just goes awkwardly into the middle of the track, so Pedro Dean can't really go anywhere then. Both of them sliding through one to the other. Pedro Dean now has a look on the outside. I think he has got enough space to where he can't stick it on the outside. He's now going to try to get the better run, left to right switchback, now the right to left. I think Simone de Mori has absolutely parked his car on the apex, and that's exactly what you want to do, and it seems like he's survived yet another lap and another attempt of a Pedro Dean attack.
So let's see if Pedro Dean trying to go back to the outside once again. I mean, that's the hard thing out here is, I mean, really, yeah, it's hard to just really change your defensive line out here from what you normally would, and then trying, oh, right, like that, just going slightly wide, but going to the inside there. Pedro Dean not quite having enough grip to stick it on the inside either, so both of those drivers just slightly sliding just a little bit, you know, both of them having really holding on to it. So I mean, as much as the rest of the field has split, these two drivers very comparable out in terms of driving in the rain. So yeah, I mean, this is great to see. I think a lot of times we see so many errors going on that a lot of drivers either end up having an incident on track, or really just taking it a bit more careful. So it's great to see both of these guys still trying to push it, still trying to battle for position out in the wet. Again, the clouds have kept rolling in, so looking like roughly 30-45 minutes of rain going on out here before it starts to concede. So we'll have to see exactly how accurate that weather prediction is right now, but still, I mean, Julian, I think we expected more of the battle to be towards the front of the pack going into this thing, but even, hey, I will take a battle out here in the middle of the pack in the rain. I think Pedro Dean might just slightly have a little bit better pace than Simone de Mori, but de Mori just doing an amazing job of defending out here.
Yeah, and there where the overtaking opportunities are on the run to 130. The track's pretty narrow, so if you just park your car perfectly in the middle like he has been doing, and I'll assume he'll do again, but this time, look at that, he misses the apex by a bit. Pedro Dean, can he get a good run? It's not a great run, but look at that, Simone de Mori, he's just going to put his car in the middle of the track. There's not enough space on the inside, and there's not enough space on the outside. So Pedro Dean does not really have any space to go. Well, Kevin, you said you won't have a fight for the lead, but Juan Blanat, he's really close into Bruno de Carmo. Gap is now less than a second. Pedro Dean went a bit too hard into 130 out there, and it's lost a bit of momentum. Then he needs to get a good run out of the triangle chicane, and just needs to have an offset pretty much. Always go for a switch back right to left or left to right, trying to get on the power early, but he just can't do that. Simon Moore is just putting his car wherever he does not want it.
And taking a look out here on the timing screen as well. So, I mean, really, lap 14, that was the place for these guys to go in. A lot of these guys timed it perfectly. Quite a few of the guys that waited one more lap, it is coming back to bite them, as, you know, especially Bruno De Carmo had a pretty decent gap. I mean, he's probably the one that, again, he tried to go out one more lap than these other drivers. It slowed him down just a little bit towards the end of his lap, but still able to come back out there into the lead. Juan Blanat, I think, really the one person timing it absolutely perfect, as well as his drive in the rain. Pedro Dean, another one of those. Toby Soriano going in on lap number 14, able to get up a few more positions than where they were early on. But again, Simon Demori was in third place before he went in for that pit stop, and now we see a couple more people going in. Josh Perween, Roman Pascucci going in for one more pit stop, so we might have to see, not sure if they might have gotten into an incident off screen, but a little bit odd to be pitting right now at this time for those guys.
The only explanation I have is that they think the rain is going to last till the end of the race, so they're going for a major undercut. But we just said the rain's not going to last until the end of the race. Should only be until like between lap 30 or 40 or so, if I'm not mistaken, with the times these guys are setting. But here we go then. We go from P6 and P7 all the way to P1 and P2. Juan Blanat has caught up, what was it? It was like 6 seconds when he came out of the pit lane on lap 14 to 8 tenths or so, and you can see now the picture lovely. We can commentate 2 fights at once. I love technology.
And I'm looking back there too, Toby Soriano, he is starting to make up a bit more pace than when he was early on, so we'll have to see. I mean, what an upset that would be, Toby Soriano coming out here, but he has made 2 pit stops, so like I said, anything can happen. I think he wants to get that to closer to 30 to 40 seconds for him to get back towards the fight for the lead, but right now still about 53 seconds back off the lead. However, he has taken 2 pit stops. A lot of these guys still up front taking 1. Josh Perween, unfortunately, ending up in the pits for a 3rd time, so definitely he's going to be towards the back of the pack. Roman Pascucci still out there in pit lane as well. Been out there, it's looking like now he's still been in there since that 2nd pit stop, so 14 minutes, almost 15 minutes that Roman Pascucci has been in the pits. Yeah, not sure if what exactly happened, that he just said, you know, I'm just going to hang out here already, about 5 laps down, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But right now, the lead, this is what we've been waiting for, folks. Bruno De Carmo has been holding on strong pretty much the entire race out here, so nearly about over 45 minutes of being in the lead out here since the green flag. So Bruno De Carmo holding on strong, but now the champion up front in terms of points is leading right now. Still 1 point difference between Juan Blanat and Gael Valero, 1 position difference, but that is still going to be a pretty decent gap between these 2 guys now, especially, like I mentioned, Heat 1, triple the points. So this is one of those places Gael Valero really going to have to start finding some more pace, or really hope that the sun comes back out to start getting closer to Juan Blanat.
Ooh, Bruno De Carmo running a bit wide, and through goes Juan Blanat, then slide by slide in the slicker part of the spoon. He's got the inside and he's in front, and can Bruno De Carmo fly back. He had a snap of oversteer going into spoon and at the apex, and that's put him wide. And Juan Blanat just gets to say thank you very much. I'm going to take the lead, and right now, if the race were to end right now, he would win the championship because he's outscoring Valero by more than 38.5 points then. So Valero either needs to get past Bruno De Carmo, or Bruno De Carmo needs to fight back and get back in front of Juan Blanat, and as they remain still very close and tiny pack. And I've been looking at the lap times as Juan Blanat was catching up. Most of the laps he was quicker, but then there was a lap or 2 where Bruno De Carmo was a 10th or so quicker, so it is oh so close. But now 5 tenths between them, you can see that, oh, so much quicker. That's due to the mistake that Bruno De Carmo had through spoon then.
So right now, yeah, I mean, it's really up to Gael Valero. Really has to just stay on there if he wants any chance of getting this championship out here. Again, so close, but right now back to Simon Demori and Pedro Dean. These guys side by side coming out of the chicanes. Is this Pedro Dean finally his time to make the move? Looks like, again, just going through that dry line. The rain looking like it is starting to cease just a little bit, of course, lightening up, but their track is still very wet, as we can see the amount of spray. I think that's really Simon Demori, his strategy too. Is like, all right, I got to be defensive out here, but at the same time, kick up a bit of that spray, make it harder for the guy behind you. No, there's contact right now around the outside. Pedro Dean spinning off the track. He touched the grass, and just like that, he's not happy about that, flashing his lights. So again, very close racing, trying to hang it around the outside that he's done many times, and just letting Simon Demori know, all right, man, I'm not sure if that was very fair, but like I said, just pushing it this hard in the rain, there's bound to be understeer going on.
Yeah, going around the outside at turn 1, even in the dry, it's so tricky. I mean, just a bit of understeer from the car on the inside, and the same thing happens. And in the wet, it's just a whole lot more tricky, more understeer and less grip all around it. And just looking at the temperature, track temp was 30 degrees Celsius not too long ago, and it is now increasing. It is now 31 degrees, and once again you see the AMX here. So if you want to get into AMX here, ladies and gentlemen, it is free. So for season 7, I think you know what to practice for in your iRacing, and it seems like we will get a replay on, I would assume it is. Yeah, here we go then. Was it a bit of door banging, or did he go into the grass? I think there is a bit of contact. I don't think there was contact. If it was very light, not enough to send him spinning. Just gets onto the curb again, onto the painted lines, which are so slick in these conditions, and somehow keeps his car putting in the right direction. And that's a nice little drift there from him, nice little shot there, but he's lost quite a bit of time there, Pedro D.
Yeah, and I think from Pedro Dean's point of view, he might have thought, hey man, you're not leaving me enough space out here on the outside. But I mean, really, Simon Demori left the perfect amount of space. I mean, just like that, you've seen just enough to have one car width to the outside, really forcing Pedro Dean. Hey, he said, if you're going to choose this outside line, you're going to have to commit to it. But like you said, Julian, just right there, touching that wet curbing, and that was just enough to lose that outside grip and end up just going into a little bit of a spin there. So, yeah, I mean, that one, again, the room was there. It's a risky move, and sometimes like that, it doesn't pay off. But once again, hey, that's what we expect out here. These guys trying to push it to the limit. Sometimes it pays off for one person, sometimes not so much for the other. And just like that, Pedro Dean losing a few seconds. But we'll have to see if he's able to make any of that up. And now we see Simon Demori back into the pit lane. So Pedro Dean staying out. We might have to catch in, see exactly why Simon Demori is into the pits right now. He's still on the wet tires.
I highly doubt he got damage from that. If there was contact, it was very light, and so yeah, I'm a bit surprised of why is that, but he's come out right in front of Tobias Soriano, so we may have lost that battle due to contact between Pedro Dean and Simon Demori. But we've got another one between Simon Demori and Tobias Soriano right now. Tobias Soriano, he's really picked up the pace there in these last couple 4 or so laps, so it is also close. The rain is lightening up, then it's very hard to see, but it seems like it is dropping less and less. But the track is very, very wet, and so it's going to take a while for these cars to play that standing water. And then once there is some idea of a dry line, then they can start thinking about pitting back onto the slicks.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the sun coming out, and like I said there, we can see Juan Blinat just fanning himself a little bit. So definitely a hot day out in Argentina today. But yeah, back to the race, like you said, sun coming out just a little bit, and one of those things, since it's such an elongated track, definitely looking like some parts have more cloud coverage than others. Some parts, the rain still coming down on screen a little bit harder than others. So I think this is that kind of weird transition period of, hey, we know it's going to lighten up just a little bit before the end of the race. But right now we have about, about 52 minutes into this race. So we have just over 37 minutes left out here in heat number 1. Definitely a lot can still happen out here. I mean, within the first 30 minutes, there was so much drama going on the track. So I expect the last 30 minutes to be exactly the same. Whether or not it's going to be for the lead, we'll just have to wait and see. We've seen a lot of that be sort of in the middle of the pack right now. Still Simon Demori, Toby Soriano. Now battling it out, it was Pedro Dean. Pedro Dean able to get one more position off of Simon Demori going into the pits. But Toby Soriano looking to get even more up on the board. So once again, Toby Soriano, it's not looking too good for him right now in terms of the overall championship. He's really going to have to hope Juan Blinat and Gael Valero both make just absolutely disastrous mistakes. But both of them, so far, so good. That's all I'm going to say. Like I said, I'm not going to let the commentators curse get to us once again. All I'm going to say is let these guys go out there and run their race.
And they're doing just that then, and I think Tobias Soriano is going to make the move and he has made the move there, I see, on the timing line, but still, Juan Blenat leads the way 1 second. The gap's been pretty much that between him and Bruno de Carmo. Bruno de Carmo closing up in the S sections, but then throughout pretty much sector 2 and 3, or sector 3, 4, and 5, that's where Juan Blenat starts to pull back again. So they're ebbing and flowing ever so closely with the lap times. Yeah, you can see it's pretty much dead even there through sector 4, and it is oh so close then. And what these guys don't want to do is run out of fuel and pit for wets and then pit again for slicks, as now we jump to Simone de Mori, who was recently overtaken by Tobias Soriano. Can he get back at him then in the Porsche then through trying to think where they are on the track, Degner 1 and 2 I think it is, if they cross under a bridge. Yes, they did just go through Degner 1 and 2, so it seems like the overtake happened into turn 1 and 2.
And so here we go now. Simone de Mori, Toby Soriano going still very, very close. I mean, Simone de Mori, although, yeah, he lost one more position. He was trying to not, I mean, really just damage control out here. Again, I'm not sure if, hey, did something happen out there, or is he just saying, you know what, I'm going to be out here on wets, try to hold it on the rest of the time, get out there. But right now on the timing screen, it is only showing that he has taken 1 official pit stop. So, again, I'm not sure if maybe he just had a drive-through going on through there, because now a lot of these guys in the wet, they've been having quite a few off tracks out there, trying to see, yeah, quite a bit of them just barely getting off track, having a few spins here and there, a bit of contact between drivers. So all these things can slowly add up over the race. And again, it only has 1 official pit stop, so possibly a bit of a drive-through incident going on out there. Not sure, we'll have to catch back up on that. But right now, still lap 26 out here at sorry, almost lost my microphone on there, but we are back out here. Yeah, like I was saying, lap 26 out here at Suzuka, the grand finale, AMX 15 out here, closing out season 6. We closed out AMX 5 last weekend unofficially. Yesterday, crowning Guy Alvalero the champion for that. Last Sunday, we got to see Guy Alvalero take home the win out there for AMX 10. Again, these guys battling it out on track. Very tight racing going on. And now this weekend, AMX 15, where it's looking as right now, if Juan Blenat is able to keep up this pace, able to keep it on as he's been doing all day, he will be taking home the championship. But like we said, we still got almost about a third of the race still left to go out here in heat number 1, as well as that sprint race coming up. So still plenty of time for anything to happen.
Yeah, and since they're lapping all so much slower in the wets, this race could come down to time, because it may be a 45 lap race, but that is still 90 minutes then, and if they reach that 90-minute mark, I'm fairly sure they're just going to go off that and not the 45 lap mark, I should say, but not 45-minute mark. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, but still Bruno de Carmo gap also still out 1 second, so now it seems like the field has started to spread out a bit, as going very wide there on the eggs of 130 hours Juan Blenat. And right when I say the field has spread out, look at that, the gap's now half a second, so Bruno de Carmo now has a bit of momentum to carry into the triangle chicane. Hugs the inside curb a bit too much. The curbs are deadly in the wet, they're super slippery, and you really don't want to touch them unless you know exactly what you're doing. Some curbs you can touch, others you just need to stay away from completely, and most of the time you want to stay away from them, especially in the S sectors, the S section.
And right there we can see Bruno de Carmo just trying to push it a little bit more through some of those places. So, I mean, again, still, I think a lot of people go and look back at the qualifying times. They say Bruno de Carmo, okay, he didn't set an official qualifying time. He ended up in the back of the grid at the end of qualifying, so that must mean he's slow, but he's proven out here he's not slow at all. He's just trying to see as much as he can push, and really that's what it comes down to. Push as much as he can. He wasn't too worried about not setting that lap time, because he knows that's putting him in great position, taking the advantage of that top 15 reverse grid. And now only down 1 position, Juan Blenat, the only man to really take away that top spot from him. So again, this is one of those things that we've got to see. Juan Blenat, I really wish he would have been going out for more races in the AMX 5 Championship. He would have also had a great shot at that as well. But nonetheless, out here still for AMX 15, Juan Blenat has pretty much been in the lead the majority of the season. It has been kind of the closest battle between him and Guy Alvalero all season long, and even now in the final race, that is what it's going to come down to. Still, Guy Alvalero currently sitting in 3rd place. Still about a 12-second gap between 2nd and 3rd. So Guy Alvalero again, he's not having to deal with that spray from a driver in front of him, but he's still having to deal with the wet track, trying to find as much grip as he can. And at this point, you know, all these drivers up through the top 7, I mean, almost all of the drivers out here in the Lamborghini today. So definitely every single person out here, equal machinery, seeing what they can do for the championship.
Yeah, that Lamborghini is certainly hitting the strat. Then we've got 2 Porsches and then the lone Audi of Gerard Sardini, who was involved in an incident, lap 1, turn 1, then being spun around by Josh Perween. Josh Perween was also involved in another incident where he himself was spun around by, I'm assuming it was Scooch. I don't really remember who it was that spun him around. And I was talking about the temperature rising, and it has now dropped a further 3 or 4 degrees or so Celsius. So we thought it was drying up, Kevin, and then Mother Nature just told us to F off, and it is now dropping. Not sure if the rain's getting heavier or just the track dropping in temperature due to the rain that's already fallen. But you can see so many puddles forming off the racing line.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you can get it clear now that the rain, cleared up just a little bit from where it was, but still very, very wet tracks. Very cool temperatures out there. So once the track temperature hits about ambient, that's when you know, all right, at least they can stay out on the wet tires for quite a while. But once that track temperature starts getting up, once the rain starts drying up a little bit, but I mean, just seeing how much rain is still puddled on the track. There's about 30 minutes left to go now in this race. So plenty of time. I think that rain is really going to stay puddled up mostly on the track. How much it is, it's out there. Looking at some of these views, some of these insides, you see little puddles here. You see some pretty big puddles on other parts of the track. So yeah, I mean, I think really it's going to be enough rain to keep these tires cool, not really be having to go. But there's a lot of these guys, they still have to go in. And now, side by side out here, folks. Just like that, we have another battle going on. Toby Soriano, Ruben Llorente trying to go up. Toby Soriano trying to get one more place. Just hold on to this championship. Again, these guys, great going on side by side battle. I mean, Julian, we love to see it. Toby Soriano has been an absolute menace out here in the rain, just taking one position after another.
Yeah, Ruben Llorente just coming out the pit lane. Tobias Soriano right behind him, and he's got that move done in the S section, and that's not where you usually overtake most of the time in the wets. I mean, going around the outside, then the inside, both of the cars swapping between the two, but he's got that move done. And we talked about this a bit yesterday, how each of the 3 drivers have kind of got their thing. Of course, Valero, very consistent. That's what gave him the AMX5 championship win. Lennart, great pure pace. I mean, how many times has that man been on pole position? And then you go to Tobias Soriano, who's arguably got the best racecraft ever, and that's a prime example of it, getting the move done in the S section as Suzuka in the wet. How many times do you see that? You don't see it a whole lot. Then what a move by him. And now he's got clean air to chase after Pedro Odin, and he's making pretty good work then despite that spin earlier on. So it's looking like still a pretty good afternoon for him, or evening, or whatever it may be in Argentina, what time it may be.
So here we go. I mean, I think right now Toby Soriano might be feeling a little bit more confident knowing that he has already gotten both of his pit stops out there. So, I mean, for his sake, he's really hoping that it stays just a little bit dry, just enough to keep these tires on, not have to switch back to the slicks, because then that will drop him back down potentially once again in the running order. But out here, let's see, going out, I mean, we just had it on screen, but now all the way up to Pedro Dean. Pedro Dean only 1 pit stop. So 1st through 5th have still only had 1 pit stop out there, as well as Simone Demori back in 8th place. So Toby Soriano leading the pack of everyone that's already gotten their 2nd pit stop in. So right now it may come down to what is the weather going to do, how much is it going to clear up, and how much tire wear are these guys going to see out there on those wets. So Juan Blanat, Bruno DeCarmo, Gael Valero, your top 3, all hoping that, all right, you know what, whether the sun comes out or whether the rain stays on track, we might just have enough time to stay out here. Toby Soriano now 53-second gap to the leader. So yeah, it's going to be really close coming out here. We'll have to see where these guys end up. Again, not really the longest pit row out here, but whoa, a bit of a mistake there. We can see Toby Soriano still just trying to find the grip, and now Ruben Llorente trying to take advantage of that. So Julian, we may see this battle be lasting for quite a while if this is how both of these drivers are pushing hard.
Yeah, and if the rain does stay till the end of the race, Tobias Soriano, if he's got enough fuel and his tires are in good shape, he might make it to the end without needing a third pit stop, while everyone in front of him has to do a mandatory second pit stop. So in that sense, it's looking good for him. So he's praying that this rain will continue on and that his tires are in good shape. Of course, we don't know how they're feeling, but right now, based on the move he just did a lap ago, they should be feeling rather well on fuel. I would assume that he's got enough fuel, especially because he used less fuel in the wet. I'm not sure how many liters these cars can hold and how much, what the distance on one full tank is then. But if it is enough, we could see him go to the end of the race on a set of tires he put on lap 14.
So right now, we'll have to, yeah, I mean, I think right now I'm still trying to keep an eye on the points, trying to do some quick math out here too. But again, I think really most likely it is going to be back and forth between Juan Blenat, Gael Valero. Right now, Juan Blenat currently sitting in first place would be taking home that 90 points. Gael Valero currently sitting in third place would be taking home the 54 points. So yeah, I mean, Gael Valero really needs to get at least up into second place to really try and solidify this championship, to keep going on where it's at. I mean, yet he would have to do that as well as win. I mean, there's so many things that would have to happen out here for Gael Valero right now. So, but again, Juan Blenat, he still can potentially make a mistake, but he can at the same time be running smooth like he's been. So the rain definitely changed things up. They changed. I think we expected it to be a 1-2 between Juan Blenat and Gael Valero out here, as well as Toby Soriano, but unfortunately, like we seen early, Josh Perween, Toby Soriano, both of them spinning out. That kind of did it in for Toby, but he's still making up place after place, leading the pack of everyone of the second pitters. But there's still 25 minutes left in this race. Julian, I mean, heat one aside, what do you think that we'll see if it does dry up out here for heat number 2? I mean, a lot of that's going to come down to who really ends up potentially, if Juan Blenat solidifies his championship out here in heat number 1. But going into heat number 2, if the track dries up again, what do you think we're going to see for the sprint race?
Well, usually heat 2 is a lot more chaotic, especially if it's a third of the distance, 30 minutes opposed to 90. Everyone's a bit more aggressive as you gotta make your moves count, and as Juan Blenat and Bruno De Carmo into the pit lane, does Valero follow suit? Yes, he does. And I just want to point out, I did some quick running of the numbers some more, and right now, well, before the pit stop, so when Juan Blenat was in P1 and Valero was in P3, Blenat was gonna have a 37-point lead, or he would make up 37 points on Valero. Now, if you remember what I said, Kevin, he needs to make up 38.5 points to clinch the championship in heat 1. So right now it seems like he won't do it, and he has come in for dry tires then, both Bruno De Carmo and Juan Blenat then. So very interesting. They think it's already dry, and the sun has now come out on the main straight. So yeah, but the track's still looking rather wet.
Actually, I'm looking out here too. So it looks like Bruno De Carmo opted for the dries. Juan Blenat still out on the wets. Yeah, I'm looking back now, just double checking the timing tower. And oh, a spin like that. Bruno De Carmo may have gotten onto the dries a little bit too soon.
And that might have just saved Gael Valero, who gets a P2 now, or pretty much a free P2 then, if Bruno De Carmo loses just enough time. He was 12 seconds behind, so Bruno De Carmo would need to lose 12 seconds. That spin has already lost him 5-6 or so. How much Juan Blenat is it? I think he's just lost enough time there, so Gael Valero might inherit P2 when he pits. I think he will, pitting for wets, or if he pits for dries later and then catches back up to Juan Blenat. There's all of these factors with the fastest lap, who's leading when, where is Valero, where is Juan Blenat, what tires are best, what's the weather saying, all these factors. And we're only lap 31 out of 45, still 14 to go, still about, 23 minutes left in this race, so anything can still happen. And oh, there you go, Bruno De Carmo going wide there, so that pretty much confirms our theory there. It is way too early for the slicks, or the dry tires, I should say, as they're not slicks. Too much Formula 1.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Bruno De Carmo really had to, I think he knew if he wanted to get the win out here, he was going to have to pull off a move like that. So definitely it would have been, you know, high risk, high reward, but unfortunately there hasn't been much reward this lap out for Bruno de Carmo. So like I said, dropping down to 7th place, it could have been a close one for the battle for the win out here. But like I said, sometimes you try and gamble out here to really just have a strategy maybe slightly different from these other guys. But unfortunately, Bruno de Carmo just going on those dries a bit too early. But here we can see right now, just a bit of a replay going off. Yeah, coming out of the pit lane, just trying to hammer on the throttle and unfortunately spinning off right there. You can see, and just like that, I mean, that was really Bruno de Carmo not fighting for the championship at this point, but he was still fighting for the win out here in heat number 1, and that may be his win in the bag. But back to going what's on track right now still, pretty much everyone else out there on the wet tires. Toby Soriano now only 40 seconds off of the lead. So with him still leading, I mean, well, I guess right now Juan Blenat is technically leading those guys of hitting the second pit stop, but Toby Soriano still only about 25 seconds off of the guys up front as well. So let's see, Juan Blenat and Toby Soriano right now, 15 seconds between Juan Blenat and Toby Soriano. So there still is a chance at the win. However, possibly unlikely right now, but we'll have to just wait and see. Bruno de Carmo heading back into the pit lane. I guess, you know, he's saying, all right, that was a bit of a dangerous move. Gonna come back in here, get back on the wets potentially, and just head back out there and finish this race.
Yeah, and if this race ends in... Wait, he's just done a drive-through, I think. Yeah, he's still on the slicks or on the dries out there. He's just done a drive-through there. He forgot to change his tires. I'm not sure if he said it, but he is going to do another lap out on the drives there then. So either he's trying it again or something went wrong in the pit stop. But what I was going to say is Tobias Soriano is catching up to Petro Dean in these conditions, and he's done one more pit stop then. So he might be able to even get past Saavedra once he makes his pit stop as well then. So we might have the championship leaders or the championship contenders 1, 2, 3, and in the road they are in the championship lineup. First on merit right now on paper, the lead pit stop winner, then Valera once he makes his pit stop in the upcoming laps. Maybe he's waiting for it to dry out a bit more or waiting until lap 44. And then Soriano in P3, maybe once Saavedra pits and he stays out to the end of the race. So Valero is hoping for it to dry up, and I'm assuming Tobias Soriano is hoping that it does not dry up at all. So it's going to be interesting to see what the weather does, but it seems like the sun is starting to pierce through the clouds ever so slightly now.
Yeah, and I think with these drivers, I mean, Gael Valero, I think right now the strategy might just be, okay, I'm still out here, I'm going to see how fast, and right now the sun is coming up, it's looking like it's starting to dry out the track pretty fast, so that may also be the strategy for Gael Valero to try and get the win out here. As it stands, he has yet to take that second pit stop. Juan Blenat has already taken his second pit stop, so I think right now with the gap, roughly just over 25, 26 seconds, Juan Blenat is behind Gael Valero, so if they go in and he only goes in just to make sure to, hey, a bit of splash and dash, just go a stop and go. We'll have to see if that's going to be enough time. I think Juan Blenat might come out just in front of Gael Valero. But again, if it's dry enough, Gael Valero might just be waiting till the last possible moment to get back on the slicks and then be making up pace, that much more pace. But again, right now, just under 18 minutes left in this race. So really, it's going to be cutting it close down to the line. We'll have to really just wait and see what is Gael Valero going to do on the strategy. There have been plenty of races out here all season long that the strategy has won the race for Gael Valero over some of the other drivers. So we're going to have to wait and see if that is going to be the same today. Marco Saavedra as well, yet to take his second pit stop, currently holding on to that second place position. But it's looking very good for Juan Blenat still to be getting back out here once these top two drivers end up taking their pits.
Yeah, if there's not any major other factors, it looks like he's going to win this race. If it doesn't dry up, he will win this race. If it does dry up, it will be interesting how fast it dries up, and if the dries are quick, and a great indication of that is when Bruno de Carmo starts to close up on Jackson Resende right now in front of him. I don't think Bruno de Carmo will pit again, because then he will have to pit once back onto the wets and then another time onto the dry, so he'll lose 2 pit stops. So what's that, like almost a minute or so, 50 seconds to a minute. And right now he's losing, I'm not sure how much a lap, I would guess around like 5 to 10 seconds or so, 10 seconds maximum. That is my prediction then, but Valero still leads out of Saavedra and Blenat then. To everyone out on track, if you're not out on track, out in the chat then, if you have any questions for myself and Kevin to answer, feel free to ask them. We answered one previously about which engine sound was the best, and we both said the Porsche Flat 6 sounded the best, which is, yeah, what I said, we both answered that. It's the best sound. But now Pedro Dean is coming into the pit lane. Will we go onto the wets or the dries?
Yeah, looking at Bruno DeCarmo, so seeing Simone de Mori, Gerard Sardani, Josh Perween, all those guys out of the race. So looks like they've pretty much retired from this heat. So Bruno DeCarmo, I mean, he has to have someone in his ear telling him that, to saying, hey man, the guys behind you are all out of this race. You can go back in for dries, or you can go back in for wets if you want to. It's not going to affect your position out here in heat number 1. But again, we'll just have to see. I think at this point, PA is pretty much where Bruno DeCarmo is going to be. He's about 33 seconds behind his teammate Jackson Asenge. So Jackson as well already had those 2 pit stops still out on the wets. Pedro Dean now going back in, coming back out. It looks like Pedro Dean, it's still only counting as 1 pit stop. And oh, another spin out from Bruno DeCarmo. So we can just see I mean, how hard it is to be driving out here on those slicks out in the rain. So I mean, the rain has stopped, but it's still a little bit of a slick track out there. But going back to our leaders, I mean, right now, Gael Valero has about a 15-second gap over Marco Saavedra. Between Juan Blenat and Gael Valero, still about 25 seconds there. So Gael, I mean, he might be able to go in and stay on the same tires, come back out, and it'll be a really close battle between Valero and Blenat. But if Valero goes in, opts for those dry tires, I mean, that's going to add another 15 to 20 seconds to his pit stop, potentially, just to change those tires, make sure that he has the fuel to run to the end of the race. So right now, with less than 15 minutes to go, I'm not sure that he's going to end up changing his tires, Julian.
I doubt it. He might just come in and make the pit stop. Of course, we saw Pedro Dean. He was in the pit lane, but it didn't count. Maybe he just did a drive-through or stopped at the wrong pit box. We've seen that happen before. It hasn't happened for a while. But I remember my first ever race, I think it happened to, I think it was Jackson Resende, my first time commentating AMX. I think it happened to him. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that, but I'm fairly sure that happened. So, yeah, that could have happened to him. They're just pitting at the wrong box or just going for a drive-through and not stopping. Or maybe you have to change your tires. I would highly doubt that. But right now, still, Valero and Saavedra, I think both of them are gunning for it to dry up. And looking at the temperature, it is increasing, but not by a whole lot then. And with only 10 laps to go, I think we will end this race on the wets.
Yeah, definitely. Track temps are still cool enough. There's still enough water out there to keep them cool as well. So, yeah, not going to really probably see too much degradation going out from here. But these guys still running about 2:15s, 2:16s. Juan Blenat, that last lap was nearly a whole second faster than Gael Valero. So, definitely, yeah, they're going to have to really start finding their pace. Okay, what parts of the track are dry? What parts are wet? Where can I really find that grip? I think right now, until the end of the race, that's really where it's going to come down to. How much grip can they hunt for out on track? But right now, Marco Saavedra still about 14 seconds behind Juan Blenat. Yeah, that gap is starting to close now. Like I said, last lap, 25 seconds, now 24 seconds. So with only 10 laps to go and one more pit stop, Gael Valero is really going to have to pit soon. Again, just to try and really come out in front of this, stay in the lead. I mean, he's in the lead right now, not really having the pressure from Marco Saavedra, but he knows he's going to have the perfect run from here until the rest of the, really the rest of the heat, to see if he still has the chance going into heat number 2.
I'm just trying to think how long a pit stop would be without changing tires. Then I think Valero, if he would have hit like 3-4 laps ago, he would have come out around where Blenat is, if I'm not mistaken, 25 seconds or so. But now Blenat, just on the fresh tires, has closed in so much that Valero, he needs to commit now to the strategy that he's put himself in. He needs to commit to just sticking out. And looking at this angle right here, it looks like it's bone dry, but then you can just see how much spray these cars are kicking up from their tires, and that's when you really see how wet it is out there. So it'll still take another 4 laps or so until there even is a dry line, and even when there's a dry line, it's very tough to go onto the slick. So it's a tricky one to call, Kevin. I mean, the sun needs to come out now for Valero and Saavedra if they want to pull off that strategy. What I'm thinking they're planning for, but it's not looking like it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing out here is going to be how much do these guys want to push it? Because like you mentioned, some parts look bone dry, other parts look still very wet out on the track. So again, you might be able to push it in some corners a lot more. So these guys are really going to have to learn exactly where can they start making up that time. I think Juan Blanat is already starting to figure that out just a little bit. So I mean, Gael Valero going to have to really adapt super quick out here. Blanat now 23.6 seconds behind Gael Valero. So yeah, it's going to look like as long as really neither of these drivers can make a mistake at this point, but I think Gael Valero is hoping that he can just stay ahead, and he's hoping that Juan Blanat makes that mistake behind him. So it's going to come down to the pit once again. Gael Valero may be coming out just behind Juan Blanat. Yeah, it's going to have to be the smart thing. There's no way that he's going to be able to make up enough time. If Gael Valero does go onto the slicks, I still don't think that he's going to be making enough time with, like you said, we're on lap 36 of 45 out here, so roughly about just over 10 minutes left in this race. And that too, I mean, that's the other thing to see. However, these guys are setting over 2-minute lap times, but the official timer going on there, it is 90 minutes. So it may be whichever is going to be first, either hitting the clock or hitting the lap count. Right now, it's looking like the clock is going to be shorter. So 10 minutes to go out here in this one. And now Gael Valero finally hitting the pit stop. So Julian, this is what it's going to come down to potentially for the win.
This is the race-defining pit stop. It could be even championship-defining as Valero slots into his pit box, and it doesn't look like he's going to change his tires there. I don't see his car getting put up on Jackson. I do will say that the session weather status has been put to clear then, so the sun is out then, but track's still very wet. Juan Blanat goes through, and he's through by quite a bit. What is it then? Could be almost 5 seconds then. It's 3.8, 3.9, 4 point something, 4.5, and it is, yeah, almost 5 seconds there. So Valero, he tried to go long, and it did not work out for him then. P3 there, and I think it will be P2 once Saavedra pits, so a whole lot better for him than if he would be in P3, and with Bruno De Carmo making that mistake spitting onto dries. He has inherited P2 pretty much, and it will be interesting if Saavedra comes out in front of Tobias Soriano. I would assume so, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, I mean, out here too, I'm just looking at the overall points, so still a 30-second point gap. Again, it can still come down to heat number 2 and see what happens there. But as it sits right now, Jackson Asenche still with the fastest lap from earlier on in the day, a 2:01.053. So it's looking like these guys are not anywhere close to that pace right now. So Jackson Asenche may be taking home the fastest lap out there. We'll have to wait and see. Again, very confident that can be that, because I don't see it getting any drier out there. Bruno De Carmo still out on track, speaking of dries, out there on the dry tires. So currently sitting in that 8th place position. Simon Demore, Gerard Sardini, Josh Perween out of this race. Roman Pascucci has been in the pits the entire time, so I'm assuming he's going to come back out for heat number 2.
Yeah, and if Blanat wins this race with Valero in P2, the championship gap would be 31 points, and that's pretty much all odds stacked against Gael Valero, who will pretty much have to win E2 and get the fastest lap, and hope Juan Blanat gets caught up in all incidents coming from the back of the grid. It will be then, but still, Saavedra, at least when will he come into the pit lane? It's going to be now then. And is it going to change tires, or is it just going to be just a stop and go, really? If he comes into the pit lane, then I think he will come out in P4, bound to be a Soriano. It's going to be close, though. And what tires will he go on to if he changes? There goes Juan Blanat, he's in front, and there goes Gael Valero. Has Valero caught up to Blanat? That is the interesting part. 3.8 seconds, so it seems like he is catching up ever so slightly, despite being on quite a bit older tires. There goes Saavedra. Where's Tobias Soriano there? He is quite a bit behind. There he is there. There is the other red Lamborghini then. He is very close then. And can he close up to him to where he can make a move? So it seems like in these last 7 minutes or so, Kevin, we've put up a battle for the podium. And Ruben Lorente is also not too far behind.
Yeah, the other thing to keep in mind too is where are these drivers going to end up? I mean, we have 3 drivers out of this race, so that's also going to definitely put a damper on things. I mean, it might come down to if these guys are out of the race and don't show up for heat number 2, again, that might just be putting less drivers out on the grid. And if it ends up only being 8 drivers out there on the field for that second race of the day, really that will secure the championship out here. So we'll have to, keep our eyes peeled what happens after heat number 1. If this is going to be the finishing order, Juan Blanat up in first place, Gael Valero in second. Even if Gael Valero gets first and fastest lap out there in heat number 2, if Juan Blanat essentially finishes with a field of 8 drivers, then, I mean, that's still enough, even if we have down to 9 drivers. So it'd have to be all the way down. All 12 drivers would have to be out there. So, yeah, essentially at this point, all Juan Blanat has to do if he gets the win is really just finish heat number 2. So, yeah, I'd say definitely looking very good. So we may unofficially have our champion-elect right here at the end of heat number 1. But we still have about 5 minutes to go. And like we said, anything can still happen. There's a 3.3 second gap between Gael Valero and Juan Blanat, so I'm not going to count him out yet. That gap is closing now, 2.8 seconds, 2.9 seconds. So just as I say, the predictions of what can happen, Gael Valero can still win this one, so I'm not going to get ahead of myself just yet.
He is closing in, but did he leave his pit stop a bit too late? Because he would have come out closer to Blanat if he would have pit earlier, and he also would have been closer now, and he's also running out of time. Then 5 minutes left on the clock. Then that it's going to be close. 3 seconds and 5 minutes. What's that? That's going to be, I think, 3 laps left, and if they're setting around 2:18 minute lap time. So here we go, sector 1 split. Valero closing in by 3/10. It's got to be more than that. He needs Blanat to have a small mistake, getting onto the grass, a bit of oversteer, braking a bit too late, or anything. He needs all sort of factors that he needs or that stack up against Blanat for him to get this race win. He is closing in ever so slightly. We'll wait for the sector 2 split, then it should be coming up anytime now. Then as Blanat, there we go, 27.9 for Blanat. Has Valero caught up? No, he's lost time in sector 2, so I think it is a little bit too little, too late for Valero here in the late stages of the race.
Yeah, just like that. I mean, I was thinking, again, if there are all different, what was I trying to say? If these guys do go, one thing that could potentially also happen is a potential tie in the championship out here. Again, if all 12 drivers are out there. So I said Juan Blanat would just have to finish this heat number 2 if he wins this heat out here. But if Gael Valero had fastest lap and won, and Juan Blanat ended up in 12th out in heat number 2, that would tie the championship. So then it would go down to the tiebreaker after that. So again, right now with 3 drivers looking like they're out of this thing, it is looking like right now Juan Blanat, he needs to keep his lead out here with just about less than a couple laps left to go out here. So Julian, things are looking very great. We see Gael Valero now trying to push it, trying to get everything he can, but will he be able to make up 2.5 seconds by the end of heat number 1?
I think he closed in 3/10 alone through 130R. Now these wets, they've done so many laps now that the degradation, they might as well be dry tires now. That's how much they've been racing on these now. Sector 6, then 3/10. Look at that, 2:11 for Juan Blanat. What is it for Gael Valero? It's a 2:10-2, so it closed in by 8/10 that lap. It's not going to be enough though. There you once again see, and those 2 seconds will lead to a 30-point swing in the championship going towards Juan Blanat. So he's going to extend that lead to 31 points then going into heat 2 if Valero can't do anything about it. Right now, it's not seeming like he can. Then further behind though, you've got Ruben Lorente closing in on Tobias Soriano as well.
So, yep, here we go. Right now, folks, it is looking like things are in favor of Juan Blanat. To about just over 2 minutes left out here in heat number 1. And all he has to do is just focus down. Gael Valero definitely a little bit faster in some of the sectors, but I don't think he is quite fast enough. So, again, the weather playing such a huge role out here today. Juan Blanat being just a little bit faster out there in the rain. I mean, these guys back and forth the entire time. So it's just been amazing to see what they can do. Of course, Gael Valero just beating out Juan Blanat out there in qualifying. Juan Blanot now beating out Gael Valero where it matters most in heat number 1, triple the points. So, Julian, this has been one of the best finishes that we've had to a season out here in AMX. And again, for a championship this big to come down to the very last race of the season is always amazing to see. We got to see Gael Valero pretty much close it up for AMX5 a week early. I know that's happened in previous seasons as well. I take it back a couple seasons. I believe Aaron Vasquez had it closed up a couple seasons ago, as well as Gael Valero. So these guys, I mean, just all around, so much going on, so much can happen, and we got to see it all unfold out here today. The final race of season 6 has been one for the books.
Oh, absolutely. And on a completely different note, finally the Dries have woken up on the car Bruno de Carmo, and he is starting to close in on Pedro Dean. Gap is now 8 minutes seconds. So the Dries are now finally faster as we head on to what I'm assuming will be the second to last lap, maybe even last. And there you see the battle for P4. Ruben Lorente, he's really caught up to Tobias Soriano. He's going to try and get the good run out of turn 18 and down the main straight. He's on the outside slipstream, not for any of them, as in front 2.4 seconds. But I think he's got that move done. They're entering side by side into turn 1. Careful, boys, it's still a bit damp there, and I think he has gone round outside. Yes, he does. Tobias Soriano tries it and tries to hold it on the inside, but no. Ruben Lorente gets P4 with a lovely move on the outside of turn 1 and 2.
And again, out here, like we said, folks, so we had up there the amount of laps on screen, but also 90 minutes. This is not going to be going longer than 90 minutes. So it is going to be going like that. The clock has struck midnight out here in heat number 1. So they will be looking like to cross the checkered flag now as these guys end up coming across. Juan Blanot, Gael Valero, 1.5 second gap currently. So as long as Juan Blanot keeps it clean out here, he is going to be taking home this win out here where it matters. Heat number 1 of the final race of the season. They have half a lap left to go out here before they see the checkered flag. And I know that might be something that these guys have to say, because I think if there was 2 more laps left on the clock, Gael Valero may have made that position back to get first place. But hey, like they say, anything can happen, and anything did. There's so many ifs, but ooh, a little bit of a slide there from Gael Valero. So I think that is going to cement the win out here for Juan Blanot. Huge congratulations to all of the drivers all season long. But just like that, we're going to be coming around the last couple sections, the last sector of the races where Gael Valero has made up a lot of time. But I don't think it'll be enough. Julian, these two have battled it out all season long. Juan Blanot has been leading the championship, and this may be where it comes down to. Through the chicane, around the final corner, Juan Blanot now coming out here, winning it down when it mattered. Heat number 1, taking the win over Gael Valero, now potentially cementing his championship. We'll have to wait and see for heat number 2, but these two put on a great show nonetheless. Man, this is what it is all about. The cars may be virtual, but the racing is very real. And just like that, Bruno de Carmo trying to get one more position over Pedro Dean before the finish.
Wow, those tries have really worked out for him, and what an intense end to that race. It seems like every race towards the end, someone in P2 just keeps on reeling in P1. Sometimes they get past, sometimes they just lose out by, 1.4 seconds. And you were talking about if and buts, and a big if and but is, what if Valero would have hit on lap 14 and not 15 onto the West? I'm sure he'll be kicking himself about that, as now the odds are hugely stacked against him going into heat 2.
And you know what they say, it's easy to say it up here from the booth, if, we've heard that from even Formula 1 champion Max Verstappen himself. I'm not going to finish the rest of that quote, but I'm sure a lot of people know what I'm talking about. But yeah, a huge congratulations out here to Juan Blanot, your Ben Q session winner. Came out swinging, definitely putting it down out here for Argentina. Gael Valero, close second place. So much going on out in this battle. Third place goes to Marcos Saavedra. Fourth, Ruben Llorente Jr. Fifth, Toby Soriano. Sixth, Jackson Senjay. Seventh, Bruno de Carmo. Eighth, Pedro Dean. Ninth, Simon de Mori. 10th, Gerard Sardeni. 11th, Josh Perween. And 12th, Roman Pascucci, with looks like about 3 of those last 4 drivers potentially retiring. So we'll have to see if Roman Pascucci, but again, if pretty much any of those drivers retire, all Juan Blenat will have to do is finish heat number 2, and he is champion. But everyone, make sure not to go anywhere. We're going to be taking a quick 4-minute break before we get back into the action. We will see you all very soon for heat number 2. showing up, showing your support for these guys on track, showing your support for AMX. But this is what it's going to come down to. Heat number 2, we mentioned all of the drivers that are out there. We've mentioned time after time the different possibilities that can happen, but now it comes down to this. Will all of the drivers make the grid? Will we have our champion-elect Juan not being out there. It's going to be a great time on track. But right now, like we said, if there are 12 drivers, pretty much all Juan Not has to do is show up and finish the race out here for heat number 2, and he will be officially our champion out for AMX 15 Season 6. Great season all week long. We've heard the highs, the lows, everything in between. But Julian, this is what it comes down to.
Wow, more than 2 months of racing in Season 6 then, and it comes down to this. And Gael Valero has got an absolute mountain to climb if he even wants a chance at this championship then. The gap is 31 points between them. And Blenat needs to outscore Valero by 6.5 points to secure the championship. So 9th or better gets him the championship. Any position with the fastest lap gets him the championship as well. That's what Valero is going up against right now. That's the mountain he's got to climb right now. It's going to be tough for him.
Absolutely. So a perfect run out in heat number 2 would be getting you 30 points for first place, as well as getting fastest lap, that extra 5 points. So yeah, it's going to be coming down to the wire out here in heat number 2. Again, we know Juan Not, the pace that he showed in qualifying, the pace that he showed out in heat number 2, there's a very good chance that he will come out of here a champion. But like we said, Gael Valero has been one to upset in prior seasons as well, so don't put it past. Still, anything can happen. Make sure to scan the QR code on screen, get the live timing. But just like that, we are about to go green as now we head through the final chicane. The Porsche safety car getting off the track now. And here we go, folks. Roman Pascucci, Simone de Mori, front row. A great start from Roman. Here we go, folks. This is what it comes down to, the final race of AMX 15, and all of our drivers are off. We had a bit of drama out there in heat number 1. Are we going to see the same thing going into lap number 1? The drivers now trying to make it 2 wide, 3 wide. We have a driver going wide off track now. Roman Pascucci still defending for his life against Simone de Mori. Bruno De Carmo right behind him, as well as Pedro Dean, Gerard Sardin. Then we see a side-by-side, and no! Once again, lap 1 carnage has ensued. That is Gerard Sardini, Pedro Dean getting sent off the track, and now another 2 wide up towards the front of the back. We got Toby Soriano, as well as Ruben Llorente Jr. and Jackson Asenje. So much going on. We already have our lap 1 chaos.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Once again, Gerard Sardini pulling the shortest run down the inside. Look at that. On diagonal 1. That was never going to work out. And it sent Gael Valero spinning. He knew he had to make that move, and it did not work out for him. He's down in P9 now. Juan Blenat is in P8, and Gael Valero's 8.5 seconds behind him and counting. He risked it all. He went for it, and it did not work out for him. And that's pretty much the championship sealed for Juan Blenat. And as Pascucci still leads Simone de Mori, then Simone de Mori right behind him in the Porsche. We've seen Simone de Mori do some great moves going into the triangle chicane in heat 1. Then can he pull off the same exact thing? Then now on Pascucci gets a good run at a spoon curve. He's in the slipstream, 2 tenths behind, closing in. Almost 1.5 tenths now, going into 130R. Is he close enough to where he can have a look going into the triangle chicane? He's closing in, needs to back up a bit through 130R to make sure he does not hit the back of Pascucci. Then is he going to have a look? Pascucci, feeling that he needs to go defensive, it goes into the middle of the track. Then Simone de Mori now tries to make the better, gets the better exit, but no, he does not. Then he's still very close behind. Then can he get the run down the main straight? He's all up in the slipstream of that Lamborghini. Then Lamborghini versus the Porsche on the outside, then drawing alongside them. They are oh so close, then forced to the outside. He's going to try around the outside of turn 1 into turn 2. Then does he have enough momentum to where he can keep it side by side going into the S's? No, he can't. Then he needs to stick on for a bit longer. But wow, Gael Valero sending it and not making it work.
And just like that, we still have Sardini, Pedro Dean, both of those guys out in the pits. Juan Blenat still out there. Gael Valero in last. So, like you mentioned, at this point, only 15 laps out here in heat number 2. So, pretty much a third of the time that we got to see in heat number 1. No pit stops out here today for heat number 2. It is looking like sunny skies all the rest of this race. So we'll have to see. Roman Pascucci, will he be able to get that final win of the year? Will be Simone Demari, Bruno DeCarmo, so many great drivers towards the front of the field. About a 2.5 second gap between Jackson Asenji in 4th and Bruno DeCarmo in 3rd. The two Delete Esports teammates out there. Both of them would love to get a win out there on the podium, but we'll have to wait and see. It's still lap number 2. I'm sure, Julian, I want to see a replay of exactly what happened back there with Gael Valero. That may have just ended his championship hopes for his 3rd championship. What would have been his 3rd championship of this season, just gone like that. But still, such a tight battle towards the front of the pack. I mean, I really hope this one goes down to the line for a photo finish.
Well, it's looking like it right now. Simone Demore, he's really putting the pressure on Pascucci. Then Pascucci on the inside of 130R, side by side. Then Simone Demore, can he make it stick around the outside of 130R? What a move. Then some contact between Bruno DeCarmo there in the background, but what a move by Simone Demore, and he's got that now going into the triangle chicane. Look at the background now. Bruno DeCarmo trying to get the better run out of the chicane then on Pascucci, but wow, Simone Demore, take a bow. What a move on the outside of 130R. Remember what I said in the track guide, Schumacher on Alonso? Well, it was pretty much a copy-paste of that, just in GT3s and not Formula 1 cars. Oh, and there's contact now, it's sending. Pascucci goes off into the gravel and into the wall. Yes, he does. Oh, and that's such a shame. He was just leading a sector or two ago, and now he's into the gravel, and he's managed to continue, but with severe amount of damage, I would suspect.
Yeah, just like that, the track is taking out another victim. I mean, Julian, hey, you called it. You were saying out here that going into Heat 2, it is going to be, basically gloves off. These drivers are going to be absolutely chaotic out here, just trying to do whatever that they can. And so far, that has come true. So right now, it's still Simone Demore, Bruno DeCarmo, Jackson Sanjay up in the top 3. We'll have to see, though, because right now, Simone Demore, this is very similar to the finale of 2 seasons ago, but I'll get back to that, as now we're going to a full screen replay of what happened earlier on. So right here towards the middle of the pack, it looks like that incident involving Pedro Dean, and going on the curb, just ends up bumping him to the outside, and boom, both of the drivers getting spun out there, Pedro Dean as well as the number 2 Audi of Gerard Sardani. So I mean, that one again looks like Pedro Dean just tried to cut the corner, wasn't expecting him to get off camber, and that sent him right into the side of Sardani. So yeah, there's that one. And again, I'm sure we'll be getting a replay very soon of the incident with Gael Valero that pretty much put an end potentially to his championship out here for AMX 15. But like I was saying before that replay, Simone Demore, he's really hungry for this win out here at AMX 15. It was 2 seasons ago that we were in the grand finale out at Spa-Francorchamps, and Simone Demore was in the lead of the race. And whoa, Toby Soriano getting a little bit squirrely out here. And whoa, just like that, Toby Soriano spinning out. So, man, we're on the onboard, but looks like 2 cars going off track right there as well. So, man, I think just Heat 2, not even letting me finish, man. There's too much going on. So, but wow. So much going on track right now. Can't even finish my story. But back to Simone Demore. 2 seasons ago was leading. Unfortunately, it looked like he had the win in the bag out there when we were out at Spa-Francorchamps. Unfortunately, had a disconnect, an absolute heartbreaking. But 2 seasons later, Simone Demore coming back out here, and oh yep, Toby Soriano going back off track. He definitely has some damage there. So, man, Julian, just so much going on track. I can't even keep up with everything.
Oh, well, as soon as you finish commentating on one thing, there's another thing, and I think now we will get the replay that you've wanted so dearly. Is this what happened to Gael Valero? Yes, it is then. So coming around Dunlop then, and towards Degna 1, he knew it's all or nothing. He needed to make this move. It's not a place where you usually make overtakes. Usually you would wait until the hairpin. That's the next suitable overtaking opportunity. But then what I'm assuming is, oh, look at that. I think that's Tobias Soriano there. Just not seeing him, and he gets pinched on the curbing there. So yeah, on one hand, that's not where you usually make overtake. On the other hand, he wasn't left any room there on the apex, and it's sent him spinning and pointing the wrong direction there. Very unfortunate for him, but that's what happens when you go for a risky and aggressive move like that one.
Yeah, so looking at that, that was the number 12 Lamborghini of Marco Saavedra. Yeah, like you mentioned, Julian, just not really leaving Gael Valero any room on that. So I mean, from some people's point of view, they might say, hey, that's just hard defending. From other people's point of view, you know, hey, you have to leave the space always out here. So although Gael Valero was trying to send it up the inside, I mean, by that point, they were side by side before they hit the turn. Yeah, I mean, again, Marco Saavedra just trying to squeeze Gael Valero to the inside. Unfortunately, Valero getting the worst of that, spinning out. Right now, Valero is in 7th place. Marco Saavedra still right ahead of him in 6th place. And Juan Blenat has made his way up to 4th. So the way things are looking out here, lap 5 of 15, we're about a third of the way out here in heat number 2. Juan Blenat very confident that he will be cementing his championship out here by the end of this race.
And he's not really pushing out, he's not closing up to the top 3. Of course, the top 3, they've got some great pace. Simone de Mori is absolutely going for it. He wants this win. And Bruno de Carmo, of course, he was in contention for the win for a while, but now it's in P2, and it seems like we're going to get another replay, thinking what was there for another incident, and it was, yep, this one going into end. That's what happened to I'm guessing that's the number 72. That could be Saavedra. Then it's one of the 2 Ferraris. Then either Saavedra or Tobias Soriano. I think it was Saavedra, number 72. Let me check real quick. I do not know the numbers by heart. Then I actually don't see a number. It's on number 12. So just like yesterday, Kevin, I cannot read the car numbers.
And we're gonna have to see about. We're gonna have to send a message to iRacing and tell them, hey guys, I need you to change your fonts a little bit out here, okay? That one looks a little bit too much like a 7, but yeah, I mean that's hey, that's the great thing whenever you know, some of the other classes, hey, whenever you get to see the numbers lighting up on the side of their vehicles. But yeah, back to what's going on track still. Simone de Mori, 1.2 second gap over Bruno de Carmo. Now Jackson Senji closing that gap right behind. So it is possibly looking like we will see the 2 Delete the Esports drivers up on the podium for the final race. Right now, a 2 and 3, right there, P2, P3 for those guys, but they would want to make it a P1 and P2. So we'll have to see. Currently, the fastest lap, again, it's not showing up in purple, but by looking at the timing screen, it is looking like Jackson Senji right now. Oh, no, it is Gerard Sardani as well as Pedro Dean. So all these guys running low 201s. Pedro Dean just slightly a little bit faster, but like we've seen earlier on, Jackson Senji absolutely blazing quick out here. Let's see if he's able to do it again, get the fastest lap once again out here for heat number 2.
Yeah, of course, the last heat, slightly different factors then with the rain coming super early. And in fact, what we have right now in E2 is essentially Heat 1 just without the rain. I mean, the rain started, what was it, lap 12 roughly? Everyone pit lap 14, 15, and we've got 15 laps now. So we've basically got the same race twice, just with a whole lot more chaos and action and the whole championship on the line. And right now, it's going to Juan Blenat, then who's in P4. He only needs 9th place right now, and with Valero nowhere near the race win, he's got that right now in the bag. So but he's still pushing. He is closing up to these guys in front. Jackson Resende, he's also pushing to catch up to Bruno de Carmo, the 2 Delete the Esports teammates, looking and pushing for the win. And still Simone de Mori in the Porsche leading the way. I've seen a lot of people chat about the Porsche being the way to go, and especially the flat 6 in it. So he's doing it for all of you guys out there. It seems like for those flat 6 fans, and Simone de Mori leading the way. And now it seems like, Kevin, it's a lot like AMX 0 right now, where the first 3 laps, absolute chaos, and then lap 6 or so, it starts to cool down.
Yeah, definitely very reminiscent of that, as well as reminiscent as some of the races we've had this season with AMX 10. I mean, there's just been so many moments that just absolute carnage going on. But now look at the timing tower. So we have 3 drivers out of this thing, and that means officially Juan Blenat, all he has to do is come across the checkered flag, and that will cement his championship. So with those 3 drivers out right now, Juan Blenat, our champion-elect out here, heat number 2, he just has to cross the start-finish line, and he will be taking home the win, the entire AMX 15 championship. So, I mean, like I said, once again, just a huge congratulations between all of these guys. Toby Soriano out of the championship after heat number 1, is also since retired from heat number 2. But Julian, I mean, there's been so much going on in every single class this season. If you had to just have any highlight moments from the entire season, what's one of the biggest things that has stuck out to you?
Ooh, there's so many, so many. I mean, I said yesterday already. One of my favorite parts was Fugecha in AMX Zero. But another thing with AMX Zero, that actually was that. I think it was AMX5. Sorry. So I'm gonna give you my highlight for each of the ones, each of the series. For AMX5, it's gonna be that chaotic final couple of laps around the Nürburgring in the Super Formula, I believe. Hold on a second, Valero on Saavedra down the inside. And he's got that move done and dusted going into Degno 1. Okay, back. So AMX5, yeah, that race in the Nürburgring GP Strecke. It was Pedro Dina and Gael Valero both spinning pretty much at the last lap of the race. Pedro Dina winning. I think it was in some sort of open wheel. I think I said this yesterday as well. For AMX10, I didn't commentate AMX10 at all, but I think the coolest part is that it was like a world tour. And with the intro and all of that, so I gotta get myself updated on that. And for AMX15, I mean, it's gonna be just that rain chaos race that we just had 30 minutes ago or so. I think that's gonna be my highlight for that series as well.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, again, we'll just have to wait and see. The championship now coming towards an end. Of course, everyone out there, make sure to head over to amxrace.com. Stay tuned to what we got brewing in the background for next season, as well as other special events that we got working on. I know one thing, especially talk about AMX10. We were out there in the TCRs. AMX has been able to partner up with Hyundai as well as a few other people for the Hyundai and Virtual Cup. So being one of the partners out there, make sure to stay tuned for once those broadcasts going on. I believe the pre-qualifying just finished up, but we're going to be broadcasting a couple of the rounds going forward like that. We have, again, make sure Hyundai and Virtual Cup, you can get a lot of that, I'm sure, is shared over on the AMX social media as well. So follow that. A lot of stuff going on. We're going to be partnering up with that, have the broadcast going. So make sure tune in. I'll probably be popping in with the broadcast if I'm not going to be in the booth hanging out in chat with you guys as well. So I didn't compete in that. I didn't even try to go through pre-qualifying. Just seeing how absolutely crazy the guys out are in that championship so far. I knew I'm going to be at least 3 or more seconds off the pace of like any of the top 40 drivers. So absolutely great job going on there. So make sure to tune into that after today's race, follow up on what's going on, as well as catch those broadcasts once they do go on. So again, a little bit of a side promotion from a different project. Again, a little bit different than the iRacing, of course, that being in Assetto Corsa. And I'm sure once we get to see, speaking of Assetto Corsa Evo, what is going to be happening with that? I know some people have asked, hey, if that comes out and that's going to be one of those things, are you guys going to be part of the championship? We used to have Assetto Corsa Competizione. That one we had for a couple of seasons going out there. This season we did not bring it back. We opted to go a bit more of endurance formats in iRacing. Like I said, the TCR World Tour. But hey, we are not opposed to any other sim out there. So if there is the interest in it, if there is a way to have great races, great broadcasts, I mean, definitely nothing is off the table for us, as well as a lot of other people saying, hey, we got to see a couple oval races, a couple different things out here. So again, nothing's quite off the table. Just have to wait and stay tuned for what is going to happen in future seasons.
Kevin, I'm all with you there. I also didn't even try in the Hyundai Virtual Cup. Jackson Resende, look at that. It's a bit of, not teamwork, it's just Bruno Carmo being aware of Jackson Resende's pace and letting him by. Going into turn 1, he's now got 6 laps to catch up and pass Simon Demori. And here's a fun fact for everyone out in chat as well. My first ever race I commentated on in AMX season 5 that was in Assetto Corsa Competizione with Kevin as well. So I've been commentating with him for quite a while now, and it started out in ACC, and right now we're in iRacing. So yeah, and if we do race in Assetto Corsa Evo, I might join. I prefer Assetto Corsa a whole lot more compared to iRacing, but I prefer open wheelers. And you guys are gonna hate me for saying this, the Formula 1 game, despite it barely being a sim.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, well, we're not out here advertising for all these things, but definitely the excitement is there. So we'll have to see. I expect, just from seeing the previews of Assetto Corsa Evo, for it to be a little bit more akin to, you know, how Gran Turismo runs things. Of, hey, we have a lot of cars that you can go buy out at your dealership and go race on some of the most famous racetracks in the world, as well as alongside having these pure built race cars like we get to see out here on track, as well as the Assetto Corsa Competizione. So again, so many different things going out there. Again, like you mentioned, F1, I know Evan out here unfortunately hasn't been in the commentary booth with us for a few races out here, but I know he does some other commentary out there doing F1 races as well. So hey, like we said, you never know what can happen in the future. Possibly F1 races out here, possibly Assetto Corsa Evo. I know as well Le Mans Ultimate is another big one. So many things to think of. I myself am a dirt fiend, so I have fun out there in WRC, even though a lot of people say, hey, it's still a little bit broken, it's still a little bit buggy, but man, I still try to have as much fun as I can nonetheless. So hey, outside of the championships, we might have to talk about, even if we're not going to be broadcasting some of these races, it's not going to be for championship points. Maybe we might have some community races in the future as well. Again, nothing's off the table as far as I'm concerned. But back to the race out here. We're lap number 10, 2/3 of the way through this race. Simone Demari has a decent gap, 1.5 seconds over Jackson Senjay, who also has another 1.5 seconds over his teammate Bruno De Carmo in third.
Yeah, and I think Jackson Rosende, he is closing up ever so slightly, but not enough to really make a big impact then on Simone Demari's lead, which she was able to eke out in the opening phase of this race, still 1.4 seconds. So it's looking like it's going to go his way in E2 then, but the man who it's going to go his way the entire season is the one we're riding on board with right now, Hamle Natanu. I mean, we've said it before, right now he's got that championship done. He just does not need to be pointing the wrong directions. Knock on wood, not so that the commentator's curse strikes him in the last race of the season, losing him the championship. But even if he does spin, Valero is not leading, nor has the fastest lap. So if anything were to change in the championship, something crazy would need to happen, like the server goes down or something like that, which with iRacing, I think it has happened, but it's not affected us at all, so that's very lucky.
Yeah, and again, like I said, we'll have to just see. I want to bring it back to like future seasons. We've also gotten a lot of feedback going on, so definitely I think it's going to be a great time to see really where are we going to do, what other changes we got. A while back, I think right before our mid-season break, we came back after the mid-season break, made a couple of different changes, mostly to AMX 10. So again, I know a lot of the drivers have questions about that. So if you're out there not in the race and you're not watching the stream, as well as any of the community or anyone looking to get involved in AMX, definitely we'd love to hear your feedback. And I think now being in between seasons, the perfect time to take in all of the feedback that we've heard, not just from this season, but from prior seasons as well. See what is working out here, what isn't working, what we're going to do. I know there's been several controversial races out here, several controversial finishes, not just this season, but in prior seasons as well. So again, going to be taking a lot of that into account and see exactly what's brewing up. I know a lot of people have said, we've had a lot of different things for our finales. This finale, we're waiting to take just that little bit extra care to see, okay, what works for AMX, what doesn't work, how do we make this the best racing platform? We've already got some of the best drivers in the world. We already have the KARA out here for racing stewards. So what's that next step to put this on the next level? And again, it's going to come down to really what is best, what for the drivers, what do they want to see, what do they want to have out on track, as well as what is going to make an entertaining race. So AMX, some of the best drivers in the world week in and week out for the past several seasons, and we expect that to continue going on. But like I said, probably going to be a little bit of the next thing that you see, possibly a special event, possibly going to have to check out the broadcast for other projects. But nonetheless, folks, it has been a beautiful Season 6 out here through the ups and downs. It has been days like today when we have our top 3 leaders for a championship coming down to the final race of the season.
Absolutely, even if it's not as close as we would love to see, and it's going to get close in the end, because look at that, P1, Simone Demari and Jackson Rosende separated by 7 tenths, but Bruno De Carmo going a bit deep there, and Juan Blenat goes left to right, right to left, tries to get the better drive out of turn 17 through turn 18. They both go. Look how close Juan Blenat is. Can he win the championship and pick up the podium at the same time that he's closing in the slipstream? He might just be a bit too far back. To the inside goes Bruno De Carmo. He's going to defend the middle of the track then, and I think Juan Blenat is just going to need to wait a bit more than lock up there, or a bit of smoke there at least, from the Taro Bruno De Carmo. Juan Blenat not able to make the move but he's certainly letting Bruno De Carmo know he's there, and the gap between Bruno De Carmo and Jackson Rosende is growing. We thought Simon De Mori had it all under control then, but look at that, 6 tenths, 7 tenths. So it is far from over then for the lead and even the podium. So the podium, we don't know how it's going to end just yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, it could shift up just like that. Juan Blenat, we know he has the pace out here, as well as Jackson Senji closing in that gap between him and Simone De Mori. So two different battles up on their podium contention for third place as well as for the lead. So Juan Blenat, is he going to get the move done? I mean, he still has just a few laps left to do it. So right now, he's just going to try to be patient, try not to get into an accident, because that would absolutely just be heart-crushing out here. I mean, like we said, with all the other drivers that are out of the race so far, Juan Blenat still, he just has to finish at this point, but he doesn't want to just finish. He wants to get another win out here, make it 2 in a row back in heat number 1, got the important win out there to pretty much cement his championship out here in AMX 15, but now he wants to make it one more just to say, that wasn't a fluke. I am definitely one of the best drivers, and there's a reason that I am on that top step in the championship.
Yeah, and I think we said whoever wins Heat 1 between Valera and Juan Blenat will go into Heat 2 with a huge advantage, and exactly that has happened for Juan Blenat. Huge advantage. That advantage has allowed him to just relax, no pressure on him. Instead, the pressure was on Valera, which forced him to go for that overtake in Degner 1, which just did not work out then. Now, can Blenat get past Bruno De Carmo? He looks to the inside, then gets back. He has a small look, but just missing a bit of horsepower, a bit of top speed, and we're talking about Jackson Rosende catching up to Simon De Mori. Suddenly, the gap's now 1.7 seconds, so he's either abandoned plan to go for the win and help his teammate, or he's just made a mistake or something, as I don't really know what happened. I would love to see a replay. Maybe he made a mistake coming through a spoon or something, must have gone wide or something. Yes, but still, then Blenat on the back of Bruno De Carmo, 2 tenths separating them. We should see a move coming up shortly then, but Bruno De Carmo does get the slipstream of Jackson Rosende. It's going to be a whole lot more difficult for Juan Blenat to pull off that move.
Yeah, so I mean, I know pretty much things are in the bag for almost all of these drivers outside of just trying to get the win out here in heat number 2. But I was taking a look on the side out there that we mentioned, the Hyundai Virtual Cup. So we got to speak to Gael Valero yesterday in the interview room. Of course, he's one of those drivers that looks like he is up on the leaderboards out there for the European division out for that. So he's definitely going to be making it to the next round. Looking at a couple other familiar names. I see Enzo Bonito up there on there as well as Kieran H. So it doesn't have the entire name, so I just have to assume that's going to be Kieran Harrison. Of course, we've got to see him out here for AMX, just an absolute beast in TCR vehicles. So again, plug with that. AMX, one of the several partners on that competition. Make sure to tune in for those broadcasts when they come out, as well as what we got going for Season 7. But right now, still back to lap number 13. I'm going to quit talking about what's going to be coming after the race. I'm going to focus on this race, because right now it's definitely heating up. Now the battle for third place, getting still so close. A 1 second gap. So Bruno De Carmo having to defend super tight against Juan Blenat has let that gap start growing between him and his teammate Jackson Senji out front. But again, we'll have to see if Bruno De Carmo really starts picking up the pace over Jackson Senji. Jackson had the fastest lap out there in heat number 1. And again, trying to keep it going out here, heat number 2. Looks like still Pedro Dean, still the fastest lap out here, a 2:01.016, so slightly faster than Juan Blenat out in heat number 2. But Pedro Dean now looks like just coming out of the pits. But we'll have to see. We're going to a full screen replay out here. Tons of replays today. But here we get to see going on right there, the Delinte car, Simon De Mori up front, the number 9. Man, just, is there a bit of contact going on there? It looks like, I mean, that came really close, but unfortunately, the number 9 of Jackson SNJ trying to send it in just really hard through that last section there, but unfortunately going off track just a bit, having to get back on it, and that is what happened. That led the gap currently to about 2.5 seconds now between Jackson and Simon De Mori.
Oh, wow, that was close to Jackson Rosende taking out Simon De Mori inches away. But now, can Juan Blenat finally get on the podium? He's closer than ever then in the slipstream towards Spoon Curve. I think he's going to stick around for now and wait for the run towards 130 odd. Then instead, there's contact then, and that's exactly what he did not need to do then. Championship rival is nowhere near a championship winning position then, but just a completely unnecessary error, braking later than quite a bit later than getting caught up by Bruno De Carmo there in Spoon. Somehow he's remained in the exact same position, just 11 seconds behind.
Yeah, again, I mean, I know we're going to see a replay of that, but exactly what happened? Was it Juan Blenat missing his braking point? Was it Bruno De Carmo getting on the brakes a little bit early, just checking up? We'll have to wait and see from the replay again. Yeah, from that view, it just happened so quick. All of a sudden, 1 second to the other. I mean, Juan Blenat was right on the rear of Bruno De Carmo, and there, Bruno De Carmo hitting the pits, so it looks like he also has damage from that incident as well. Again, definitely gonna have to see what it looks like from the replay. We were on the onboard cam there, kind of, stuff happened just so fast from the view of Juan Blenat. But now Bruno De Carmo dropping down a couple positions, so it looks like the white flag is out. It's gonna be between Simone de Mori and Jackson Asenji. Simone looking like he is definitely going to be super happy if he's able to keep it clean, get this win. He's been wanting this one for a whole while. Simone de Mori just putting it down out here. But now we're going to go back to that full screen replay, see what just happened moments ago as the two drivers, Juan Blenat following Bruno De Carmo there. Bruno De Carmo just on the outside braking, and yeah, I mean, both of them hit the brakes at nearly the exact same time, but I'm not sure exactly what happened. Just Juan Blenat may have not got on the brakes hard enough. So I think it may have been Bruno De Carmo getting on the brakes a little bit earlier, a little bit lighter, and then just both of them trying to send it in last moment. Unfortunately, Juan Blenat got spun off that, and Bruno De Carmo had to hit the pits for the repairs. But Julian, white flag is out. Simone de Mori looking very good to win heat number 2. So we'll still see Simone de Mori now again leading this race. Jackson Asenji second place, 2.8 seconds. But as these drivers coming into the last sector, now just one more sector to go out here at Suzuka, the final race of the season. And what a race it has been for all of these guys out on track, been putting it out. Just blood, sweat, and tears have gone into this championship for so many drivers. And there, a look of relief from Simone de Mori as he's able to come across the chicane through the final turn. The fist pump through the air, flashing the lights. This is one that he's going to remember for a while. So grateful to get this, especially not having the pressure of the championship right behind him. He came out here, had a chip on his shoulder, saying, you know what, guys, I've been in this position before and I got disconnected. I'm coming back out here to win, and win he did. Jackson Asenji coming back in second place, and your champion, Juan Blenat, coming across the checkered flag in third.
Wow, what a race. Simone de Mori leading from the start there, and Juan Blenat coming from the back, and Gael Valera just going a bit too aggressive on lap 1, and that cost him, I'm not going to say the championship because it was already pretty much sealed and done, but it cost him the chance to even have some sort of a fighting chance for it.
Yeah, like we said, the margin was very slim out there for Gael Valero going into heat number 2. But hey, although the margin was slim, it was still possible for there to be that change in the championship. But unfortunately, going in those first couple laps, I mean, the gloves came off right away. Elbows out for all of these drivers. So just so much, just again, heartbreak. A lot of these guys leaving their heart on their sleeves. A lot of them putting out what they could throughout the entire season. Every single class, whether it's AMX 5, AMX 10, or AMX 15, these guys put it on a great show for the fans at home. But Julian, I mean, as we wait for the results to come in out from heat number 2, again, just absolute masterclass in driving that we've seen from a lot of the drivers. A lot of incidents going on. I mean, there's going to be highlight reels for days. There's so many broadcasts that we've seen within the ominous turn number 1, lap number 1 of AMX. That has become a staple out here, as in different sim racing competitions. That lap 1, it is all about survival. We've seen that once again today, but here we go, folks. Your provisional results coming out of heat number 2. Your BenQ session winner, once again, Simone de Mori out here in heat number 2, putting it down. Jackson Asenje in second place, and your champion, Juan Blanat, in third place. Fourth, we got Ruben Llorente Jr. Fifth place, Bruno De Carmo in sixth. Gael Valero coming in second in the championship. And seventh, Pedro Dean. Eighth, Gerard Sardeni. Ninth, Marcos Saavedra. 10th, and coming in third place in your championship, Toby Soriano. Roman Pascucci coming in 11th, and rounding it out in 12th place, we got Josh Perween with Pedro Dean holding on to that fastest lap. So, man, what a season it has been. Julian, we were out here. We were able to join each other, Assetto Corsa Competizione. We were able to join each other for AMX 0, and now we're able to join each other back out for AMX 15 to be able to round out our grand finale, not only the final race of AMX 15, but the final race of the season.
Yeah, it's been a great one. Like you said, so many clips and some great advertisement for AMX Season 7 that we can use just from this race alone, from Heat 1, the rain sequence, great moves by Tobias Soriano, and then also Heat 2, just like chaotic opening laps, like we were expecting, it being the shorter heat of the two, the sprint race. Just some great battling all throughout.
Awesome, but I think it's about time that we check in the interview room with one of our drivers and see exactly how things went down and how well it must feel to take home a win out here. Again, folks, time to head back into the interview room with our drivers. So I'm out here joined with Simone de Mori. Mr. de Mori, how does it feel to get the win on the very final race, the final heat of the entire season?
Yeah, it definitely feels very good, especially with that move as well. And after that first heat, it feels great to bounce back like that.
And I know I brought up during the race 2 seasons ago when we were out at the grand finale at Spa-Francorchamps, the rain started coming down. It looked like you had a win in the bag there as well, only to get disconnected and have to retire from that race. So, I mean, having already so many wins so close in the bag, how much better does this win feel?
Yeah, I nearly forgot that Spa moment there. But yeah, it definitely feels great to have another win in the bag. Yeah, like midway through the race, I realized that the fuel is going to be super tight in the end, so I had to save a little. But I think Jackson and the others had to do that as well. So in the end, it was a bit more relief, like the last 2 laps, when I realized the gap was getting bigger, and I knew like it's pretty much secured now.
And again, out there in heat number 1, I mean, a lot of people were expecting, okay, we've seen rain in the grand finale in prior seasons. There was a good chance it was going to happen today. What was going through your mind once you seen the rain coming out and going out there? What made you decide to pit when you did?
Yeah, I definitely expected that there would be rain as well before I did the race, but I didn't have a lot of time to practice, so I didn't really practice the wet lines and stuff. And yeah, I thought like it's a better idea to carry the dry tires 1 lap more, but I think in the end it was definitely the wrong decision. And yeah, I struggled a lot in the rain with off tracks and stuff. Also, I had a few spins when it started to dry up again. So yeah, that's what cost me in the end, I think.
And last question, how much do you feel that your real life experience transfers over to the sim and vice versa? How much does your sim experience transfer to when you're racing in real life?
I think in the rain, the real life experience helps a lot in the sim, because I feel like especially when you do like iRacing open lobbies, a lot of people don't tend to use like the wet lines and stuff. So that's like a big advantage there. And vice versa, like I think it helps me in terms of experience, like fighting. with other people because you can train that so well in the sim, and that translates pretty much directly to the real world.
Well, once again, congratulations on that Heat 2 number win. And again, good luck out there in real life racing, and we hope to see you back next season.
Thank you, I'll be back.
There we got to hear from Simon Demori. Again, he's had so many heartbreaking moments out throughout the season of AMX. So glad to be taking home this win, as well as, again, once again, big congratulations out to our champion for AMX 15, Juan Blainat. He was in the championship lead nearly the entire season, a tight battle between him, Gael Valero, Toby Soriano. But today, when it mattered, he was able to rise to the top and cement that championship. So, Julian, I mean, what was your highlight of today's race?
Ooh, I'm gonna say just the tricky rain conditions and the fact that they were still able to race. I mean, Tobias Soriano, great move on trying to think who it was. Was it Scucci? I'm not too sure. I think it was. But yeah, just the rain, the fact that they're still able to keep up that great pace and that great wheel-to-wheel racecraft action in those tricky conditions. That's gonna be my highlight.
And I know that my Spanish is a little rusty, but I'm going to say it out here for all of our South American fans, Spanish fans, everyone around the world out there. Felicidades a Juan Blainat, el campeón de AMX 15. Felicidades, Juan. It's been such a great season, and we hope to see him back, as well as Toby. Those two guys, I was looking back at the AMX 5 championship as well, and they were pretty high on the standings, both of them within the top 10, but they were only here for about 4 or 5 races this season. So to be able to be in half of the season and still be in the top 10 just shows how amazing these drivers are out here, as well as a lot of other guys out there. Jackson Asenge, Pedro Dean, we've seen make such a huge comeback. Again, Diego Villarreal, a couple weeks ago, we got to see him come up onto the podium out there in AMX 10 as well. So many drivers around the world, so many times, just so many memorable moments. But I think right now, again, while we wait for the final results of the day to come back in, I'd say my biggest overall, you mentioned earlier, Julian, your biggest moment of the season, or one of the biggest moments, when we were out at the Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecke, the super formulas. We've seen Pedro Dean, Gael Valero battling it out. Gael Valero spinning out on the track, as well as Pedro Dean spinning out on the track. Just so much tension going out there, and Pedro Dean coming home with the win. And I'd say, again, I want to bring it back all the way to probably, I think it was the first weekend of AMX 10. We got to see a lot of guys from previous seasons. I know Aaron Vasquez came back for one of those races. We got to see some of the other guys out there from South America that we've seen in previous seasons, out from NASCAR that I've raced against, now seeing them back in AMX 10. Just great all along the board. But sounds like we have our results coming in right now. So we're gonna have to see, as of course, Juan Blainat coming home, the champion out here, 128 points in today's race, cementing the championship. Gael Valero, second place of the day as well, second place in the championship, and Jackson Asenge able to come in here with the overall podium again. Going down the row, Marcos Saavedra in fourth, Rubens Llorente in fifth, Pedro Dean sixth, Toby Soriano seventh, Bruno De Carmo eighth, Simon Demori in ninth, and Roman Pascucci in 10th place. But again, closing words, Julian. I mean, man, I'm almost speechless once again. There's been so many points throughout the season. What would you say, if there's anything you have to say to everyone out there watching, drivers or people that are not commenting, maybe on the fence of joining AMX?
Well, if you're debating it, just join AMX Zero. Like I've said throughout the season, you as well, Kevin, it's completely free. If you've got iRacing, go ahead and race. I've said myself, I might even race next season. Not sure how well that will go, but give it a shot. If you don't like it, don't do it anymore. So go out there and try. If you like it, continue. Go up to AMX 5, then AMX 10, then finally AMX 15. Just, yeah, great season as well. My first full season as a commentator in AMX, and I'm looking forward to season 7.
Absolutely. So Again, everyone out there, thank you for watching. It's been a great season. We love you all, the drivers, the viewers, everyone in between, behind the scenes, doing a great job out here. But like I say again and again, follow all of our social medias, check out the website, stay tuned on Twitch and YouTube for our future seasons as well, some special events that we have brewing. We got a lot going on in the background, as well as check out the Hyundai and Virtual Cup in the meantime. But for the final time of the season, signing out for AMX, I am Kevin alongside with Julian. We will see you all later.